Chapter 4053. Because I saved both of your lives. If it weren't for me, you might still be in that perverted bamboo house, being kept captive. Fuck. You wanted to say something else, but Huamin interrupted. You drive. Okay. After Huamin spoke, Suyu obediently sat in the driver's seat. Sit in the passenger seat. Huamin pointed at Huasiqian. Sister Mian, you're so heartless. I just saved you, and you're chasing me away. Huasiqian finally dared to show his true colors, so he actually acted coquettishly and cutely to Huamin. God knew how hard it was for him to hold it in. He was especially excited when he saw Mian. However, because of Layla, he had to pretend to be Jack to torture Mian and mock her. God knew how hard it was for him. Right now, he just wanted to sit beside Huamin and accompany her. Sit down. Don't talk nonsense. Huamin could finally order the two men around with his head held high. Although Huasiqian was unwilling, he didn't want to make Huamin unhappy. He took out a bottle of water from the trunk. He handed it to Huamin. Sister Mian, drink some water. Suyu, you drink first. Huamin handed it to Suyu. Huasiqian glanced at Suyu coldly, turned around, went to the trunk, and took out 2 more bottles. He placed them next to Huamin. Then, he sat in the passenger seat unwillingly. With Huasiqian leading the way, it was much easier for Suyu to drive. Just like that, the 3 of them began their escape. Huasiqian, didn't you go on a mission with that woman? Why did you come back halfway? Because she found out that you guys escaped, so she asked me to come and catch you guys. Does she trust you that much? Huamin was in disbelief. I don't think she trusts me. She just doesn't have a better plan. After all, she's facing your sister Lu Yin and your husband Qin Chu. Suyu, can we not go down a mountain? Huamin, do you want to go back? Suyu could tell that Huamin wanted to go back and save people. Before Huamin could reply, Huasiqian laughed. Little sister Mian, you'll die if you go back. You'll distract Lu Yin and Qin Chu. Why don't you let them fight for a while? I think you shouldn't underestimate Lu Yin. Huasiqian knew Lu Yin's abilities very well, so he hoped that Lu Yin could teach the psycho Layla a lesson. But my husband and Yin are here to save me. If I leave, won't they get nothing? Huamin began to feel uneasy. It's better than going back and being held hostage by Layla to threaten them. Huasiqian said, Mian, I think he's right. Suyu agreed with Huasiqian. Suyu, can you drive faster? I'm afraid the second group of people will catch up with us. There's a second group? Suyu was shocked. Hee, what do you think? You can't imagine how powerful Layla is. I really hope Lu Yin can break her spirit. You can say that if Layla catches up with us while we're running, it'll prove one thing. Lu Yin lost. Suyu seemed to have guessed what Huasiqian was going to say. Yin won't lose. Huamin was very confident in his sister and was very protective of her. Yeah, I hope so. Huasiqian smiled and didn't say more. Meanwhile, in the depths of the dense forest, Layla and Lu Yin were fighting head-on with submachine guns in their hands. Lu Yin and Layla took off their jackets and walked to the open space in the middle. Lu Yin had a feeling that this might be the most exciting and fierce hand-to-hand combat she had ever had in years. Chapter 4054. Lu Yin, you'll regret making this decision today. Layla smiled contemptuously. Okay, trash. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Let's beat you up so I can save my sister. Lu Yin had always valued her time and would never waste it on meaningless people or things. So, Lu Yin had years of practical experience in close combat. She had fought since she was a child and had killed enough people to fill a city. So, she didn't realize that she would lose this time. Of course, if she knew the woman's identity in advance, she probably wouldn't have been so careless. Come on, I'll fight you with one hand. Layla's words infuriated Lu Yin again. She flew up and punched Layla's head. This punch was full of strength. Layla reacted quickly and dodged to the side. She thought it was a trap when she said she would fight with one hand. But after a few punches, Lu Yin found that she really only used one hand. It had been a minute since she went all out, but she hadn't hurt the woman at all. This hurt Lu Yin's self-esteem. She almost used all her skills, hoping to end the battle quickly and save her sister safely. But the more she fought, the more she found the woman was difficult to deal with. After fighting for 5 minutes, there seemed to be no winner. This wasn't the scariest thing. The scariest thing was that Lu Yin could see that she was attacking while the woman was defending. In other words, the woman hadn't really used her skills yet, but Lu Yin had used all her skills. Obviously, Layla was dealing with it easily, but Lu Yin was struggling. Another punch missed. Lu Yin spun in the air. When she landed, her expression changed slightly. It's impossible. How did she do it? Lu Yin felt the woman's skills didn't conform to scientific principles at all. She couldn't tell what was wrong, but something was wrong. What? Are you tired? Can't you handle it? Layla smiled. Agitated, Lu Yin rushed up again. No matter how fast and fierce her moves were, she couldn't hurt the woman at all. The subordinates on both sides were also very nervous. Lu Yin's subordinates saw it clearly and began to worry for their boss. Boss, something's wrong. No way. Why do I feel like there's something wrong with that woman? But I think it's because our boss isn't performing normally. She's not like this usually. It's really strange. That woman's movements are so fast. I didn't even see how she dodged, but boss didn't hit her. Her subordinates were right. Lu Yin was having a hard time. After another round, Lu Yin was slightly out of breath. How is it? Have you had enough fun? If you've had enough fun, then now it's my turn. After saying that, Layla took the initiative to attack. At that moment, his eyes dazzled Lu Yin. To be honest, it was strange. Lu Yin had to overcome her psychological barrier whenever she was with someone who looked exactly like her sister. He told himself that the person he had hit was not his sister, but someone who looked like his sister. But Layla showed no mercy to Lu Yin. His fists were fast, and his legs were strong as well. After a few moves, Lu Yin's dodging slowed down because the woman's speed was beyond human limits. You won't have more than 2 seconds to catch your breath. Fortunately, Lu Yin was experienced. Otherwise, she would have been defeated. Even so, Lu Yin still got punched hard in the ribs. Boss! Lu Yin's subordinates panicked and said in unison. Chapter 4055. At that moment, Lu Yin heard the sound of her bones breaking. Yes, it was just one punch. Layla punched her. Lu Yin felt that her ribs were breaking, and a piercing pain came from her armpits. But Lu Yin was a warrior and wouldn't fall so easily. So even though she was in excruciating pain, she forced herself to stand up. Not bad. Your ribs are broken, but you don't even frown. Lu Yin, you're indeed awesome. Layla was a little surprised. She had studied Lu Yin's skills. She had seen many of Lu Yin's close combat moves a long time ago. Some were from West Point, some were from Lu Yin on a mission, and some were from fighting in Las Vegas. In short, Layla had seen a lot of Lu Yin's fighting methods and the information she collected. So, she had completely figured out Lu Yin's tactics. However, she admired Lu Yin's strength and stubbornness. The pain of broken ribs was unbearable for ordinary people. Not to mention standing up, even moving would cause excruciating pain. But Lu Yin stood up calmly without saying a word. She was indeed a warrior. Cut the crap, trash. Continue fighting. Lu Yin gestured at Layla with her finger provocatively. All of Lu Yin's subordinates knew her well. She wouldn't admit defeat, and the more she was defeated, the braver she became. At this moment, Layla's watch beeped. She lowered her head, glanced at it, and smiled. My pet dog really betrayed me. TSK, TSK. It seems like I really can't waste time. I'm going to find my dog and my prey. With that, Layla didn't waste any more time and rushed over. She promised to use one hand, and she didn't go back on her word. However, Lu Yin found that even with one hand, she was still no match for Layla. Yes, this thought was terrifying. Lu Yin had been in the mercenary world for many years, but it had been a long time since she met such an opponent. This woman, who looked exactly like his elder sister, had the ability to reach the heavens. Such a person, what was her purpose? She remembered that her father had called her and told her and her brother-in-law not to save her. Could it be that her father already knew about the conspiracy? Was it someone even her father couldn't deal with? At this moment, Lu Yin finally believed that she might have fallen into a trap. A person who looked exactly like his sister, and she also had powerful close combat skills. Wasn't this a conspiracy in itself? Boss doesn't seem to be able to hold on any longer. Should we go and help? On the count of 3, we will fire together and kill all the people on the other side. Liu Yan's soldiers were confident in their marksmanship. Therefore, he planned to take advantage of the fact that his boss was not injured again to suddenly open fire and kill all of them in one go. That woman was flirting with Liu Yan. Liu Yan's subordinates suddenly fired, interrupting the game. Layla's men all fell to the ground. Hee, you really can't afford to lose, letting your people play such tricks. Layla laughed sarcastically. There's no need to talk about loyalty when dealing with a scheming person like you. No matter what method you use, it's fine as long as you can kill him. Liu Yan didn't blame her for the sneak attack. Instead, she thought the best way was to kill this woman. However, Liu Yan's subordinates fired at the woman in unison. In an instant, something strange happened. She dodged as fast as a beam of light, making it impossible for people to see her speed and figure clearly. By the time they reacted, Layla was already behind them. I didn't want to kill, but you really pissed me off. Layla smiled strangely. Chapter 4056. After Layla said that, 2 daggers appeared in her sleeves. She instantly stabbed the daggers into the backs of the 2 men, where their hearts were. Then, she pressed her hands on the heads of the other 2 men and twisted them. The whole process took less than 10 seconds. From 10 meters away, Liu Yan witnessed the whole process of this psycho woman torturing and killing her subordinates. No. Liu Yan had deep feelings for these subordinates. Some of them had been with Liu Yan for 6 or 7 years. They were like family to her. Besides, each of them was a top-notch fighter. Yet just like that, he had been so easily killed by someone. When her subordinates fired, Liu Yan thought this woman was dead for sure. After all, it was the power of 4 submachine guns. However, not only was the woman fast enough to dodge the attack, but she also quickly moved behind them and staged this cruel scene. Their hearts were pierced, and their heads were twisted off. This didn't conform to scientific evidence. Who on earth are you? Liu Yan felt chills down her spine. She even wondered if this woman was not human at all. Was she some kind of monster that had turned into a spirit? This kind of movement and speed was not something a human could achieve. Liu Yan felt that this matter was getting more and more complicated. If only her father was here. Liu Yan even had a feeling that she might die here today. She watched as the psycho woman walked toward her step by step. Liu Yan decided to prepare for the final battle. At this moment, Xiao Fei, who had just entered the border of Yunnan, was already anxious. This had never happened before. It was the first time he had received a call from the professor in so many years. After all, the professor didn't ask him to help Liu Yan when she was in danger. But this time, the professor asked him to come and save her. It could be said that the opponent was very powerful. Because he was a Russian citizen, Xiao Fei entered the border as a businessman with more than a dozen subordinates. They drove 5 Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicles on the border roads. Suddenly, without warning, the string of black Buddhist prayer beads on Xiao Fei's wrist broke, and the beads scattered in the car. "Stop the car!" Xiao Fei shouted with a terrible expression. "What's wrong?" "Young master, I'm going out to get some fresh air," Xiao Fei said and got out of the car in a panic. He had been wearing this string of Buddhist beads for many years, and it had never been a problem. Now that it had suddenly broken without any warning, it was definitely not a good sign. He remembered that when his mother passed away, a piece of jade around his neck shattered without warning. Later on, he heard people say that the jade was something that was protected by the spirit. If it broke for no reason, it was a great misfortune. Sure enough, when his mother passed away, he was sad for a long time. Now that the Buddhist beads were broken, he naturally thought of Liu Yan, whose fate was unknown. He dialed Liu Yan's number, but couldn't get through. "Yan, wait for me." Xiao Fei smoked a small Russian cigar by the roadside and quickly got into the car. He strung the scattered beads together and fixed them one by one. According to the location given by the professor, the group quickly moved forward. At this moment, Liu Yan was lying on the grass, dying. His body and head were covered in blood. This woman's moves were not only fast, but her strength was also extraordinary. Liu Yan tried her best, but she was still beaten for 3 minutes. After all, 3 minutes from a master could turn you into a vegetable. Lu Yin felt very sleepy, and her eyelids were heavy. She wanted to sleep. She wanted to have a good sleep, but she still wanted to save her sister. Her sister and her unborn nephew were still waiting for her. Chapter 4057. On the other side, Qin Shu spent more than 2 hours but still couldn't walk out of the minefield. The minefield Qin Shu was in was densely filled with landmines. There were several times more landmines than the road Lu Yin took. If he wasn't careful, he would be blown to pieces. Therefore, the path that he took with him was exceptionally difficult. Qin Shu kept thinking that Mian deliberately waited for him safely. Tormented by missing his wife, Qin Shu walked carefully step by step. On the other side, Huamin, Huasiqian, and Suyu had already driven to the nearest town. It was a village with less than a dozen families. The houses looked like they would collapse with a gust of wind. At least we've seen them. Let's go eat something, Suyu said. I suggest we continue on our way. It's best to find a town to hide in. This village is too small, and our target is too obvious. But it's dark now. It's difficult to walk. Even if we don't eat, Mian has to eat. She has a child, Suyu said angrily. He still didn't like Huasiqian. Even though he saved their lives, Suyu still looked down on him. Mian, what do you think? It was obvious that Huasiqian was very afraid of Layla. He was really afraid that she would catch up with him. In fact, it didn't matter if he lived or died. But if Huamin returned to Layla's hands, then I'm a little tired too. The baby moves frequently. Let's take a break. Huamin stood on Suyu's side. Huasiqian smiled and wasn't angry. Okay, we'll listen to you. Let's go find something to eat. After Suyu parked the car, the three of them got out. Huasiqian, about that woman. Shoo. For some reason, Huasiqian gestured that he didn't want Huamian to mention Layla. However, he felt that Huasiqian had his reasons. Seeing his reaction, Huamin did not pursue the matter any further. Suyu looked at the two of them mysteriously. What are you two talking about? What woman? It's fine. Suyu, go knock on the door and buy some food. Why don't you go? Suyu was not convinced. Because I don't have money. Me neither. Suyu rolled his eyes. But you have a watch. Huasiqian pointed at the diamond-studded Patek Philippe in Suyu's hand and smiled maliciously. Sell mine. My watch is cheap. Huamin couldn't bear to let Suyu sell his watch, so he took off the limited edition Cartier platinum watch on his wrist. How can I do that? I'm fine. Use mine. I have many watches. Seeing that Huamin was about to take off his watch, Suyu's heart ached. He walked directly to a farmer's house and knocked on the door. After a long time, a girl who looked about 15 or 16 years old opened the door. Who are you looking for? She sounded timid. Little girl, we're tourists. We got lost here and are very hungry. Can you give us something to eat? The little girl's eyes were very innocent, as if she had never seen anything evil. Don't worry. We won't eat for free. We can give you something valuable in exchange, Suyu added. Granny, an uncle and his friend said they're tourists. They got lost and are very hungry. Can you give them something to eat? The little girl seemed to be asking an elder in the house. The old lady said something that seemed to be in her hometown language, but Suyu didn't understand. However, the little girl opened the door and said in a friendly manner, My granny said yes. Come in. Just like that, Suyu, Huasiqian, and Huamin found a place to stay. However, this family was as poor as a church mouse. There was really nothing in the house. The granny was rotten. It was obvious that the little girl and the old lady didn't have a good life. Little girl, is there anything to eat? Suyu thought that Huamin must be starving. Is corn paste okay? We only have this at home. The child's eyes were still innocent. Suyu felt sorry for the child. Chapter 4058. What the hell is corn paste? Suyu was confused. Actually, he couldn't be blamed. He had never heard of such a thing. Huamin was the most knowledgeable. She hurried over and said in a friendly manner, Okay. Sorry to trouble you, sister. The little girl looked at them eagerly and then went to the kitchen to prepare. Although it was called a kitchen, it was actually very simple. It was just a place connected to the house, and it was cold. The entire house felt dark, and it was a little oppressive and suffocating. In his impression, Suyu had only seen it on TV, and it was a program about teaching in the mountains. It was hard to imagine that there were still people so poor in society. On the wooden bed in the house, there was a pile of miscellaneous things and an old granny who looked very old. Her legs were covered with a quilt, and she seemed to be shivering from the cold. "This family is really poor," Huasichin commented. "Keep your voice down." Huamin couldn't bear to see him like this. "I'm telling the truth. Suyu, the money you spend at night is enough to feed this village for a few years," Huasichin said with sarcasm. "President Hua, stop fooling around. The jewelry you buy for a female model is enough to feed these people for half their lives, so you refuse to be outdone. Okay, stop arguing. Does anyone have a phone with them?" Huamin thought of something very important. "I definitely don't." So you spread his hands helplessly. "I don't either. Layla would never let me have my own communication device. If I hadn't pretended to be Jack for so long, I would have died long ago. Then will the village have one? I have to call my husband and tell him that I'm safe. Do you think this village, where birds don't lay eggs and rabbits don't shit, will have one?" Huasichin sneered. "Then what should I do? I'm worried about him. Sister Mian, let's worry about ourselves. I think the person Layla is looking for is you." Huasichin didn't know what Layla's ultimate goal was. However, just by looking at Layla's face that looked exactly like Huamin's, he knew that this matter must have something to do with Huamin. While the three of them were chatting, the little girl was making corn paste. The old lady didn't seem to like interacting with strangers. She hid in the house and refused to come out. Her eyesight didn't seem too good either. The three of them chatted in the west room of the house. The little girl struggled to lift up a small wooden table. Suyu hurriedly got up to help the little girl. "Little girl, what's your name?" "Xiaoling." The girl's voice was very pleasant. "You have the same name as Lingling." Huamin smiled when he heard that the name was very similar to Zhu Lingling's. The girl brought 3 small bowls with some thin corn paste in them. Corn paste was actually similar to corn porridge. However, because of the addition of green onions and salt, it had a taste. Therefore, it was a combination of food and drink. This was a method that was almost lost in remote and backward villages. To be honest, it wasn't delicious, but this family seemed to be very poor. There was nothing they could do. "Little girl, this is for you. Thank you for giving us food." So you didn't go back on his word and took off the Patek Philippe on his wrist. One had to know that when he bought it, it cost more than 1,000,000 yuan because it was a limited edition. Now, even if he went to a pawn shop in a big city or a clock recycling place, he would have to pay at least 200,000 yuan. At the very least, he would have to pay 200,000 yuan. 200,000 yuan was enough to buy a very large building in this small town. "No, uncle, take it back. Xiao Ling doesn't want it." The little girl hid back in fear. Chapter 4059. Little girl, we're not bad people. You can sell the watch uncle gave you in the big city. You can get some money and live a better life. Huamin felt that a 15-year-old child should be able to understand these words. "No," Grandma said, "I can't take things from other people. This is our reward for buying corn paste from you. Is that okay?" Huamin whispered to the little girl. "Corn paste isn't worth much. We have a lot of corn in our fields. Grandma and I ground a lot of corn paste. It's enough to last us the whole winter." The little girl pointed to a dark corner of the kitchen where there were a few bags of corn flour. Huamin's heart ached when he heard this. "You're still growing. You can't just eat this." "It's okay. I'm used to it." Huasichin and Suyu, 2 grown men, felt sad when they heard this. The 2 of them were silent. "Okay, we know that little girl is kind. If you don't want it, we won't give it to you." Huamin gave Suyu a look and told him to put away the watch. "Why don't you sit down and eat with us?" Huamin invited her. The little girl shook her head and pointed to the east room. "Big brother, big sister, you guys eat slowly. I'll go in and accompany Grandma." Then, the little girl went into Grandma's room. Huamin looked at Suyu. "When we get back, we'll send someone to pick them up. I'll arrange a house for the little girl to continue her studies. She's so pitiful. She has no one to rely on." "Yeah, I think so. My heart aches when I hear this." Suyu put away the watch and agreed with Huamin. Then, The three of them scooped up the shabby-looking corn paste and drank it. Maybe it was because they were starving, but the three of them ate very happily. Afraid that Huamin didn't have enough, Huasiqian and Suyu only took a few small bites and pushed the rest to Huamin. You guys go ahead. I really don't have much of an appetite. If it weren't for the baby, I wouldn't have eaten. Huamin wasn't in the mood because he didn't know what was going on with Lu Yin and Qin Chu. After the meal, it was time to rest. The little girl took 2 worn-out quilts, which seemed to be the only ones in the house. So you go sleep in the car and keep watch. What about you? Of course I'm in the room with little sister Mion. In your dreams, I won't give you the chance to hurt Mion. Get in the car. So you began to confront Huasiqian again. Stop arguing, both of you get out. Huamin's words calmed the tension between the two once again. All right, I agree. Hearing Huamin's words, Suyu immediately raised his hand in agreement, afraid that Huasiqian would stick to Huamin and play tricks on him. TSK. You're so heartless. I haven't seen you in so long. Can't we catch up? Huasiqian looked at Huamin gently with a smile in his eyes. I'm not in the mood to catch up with you right now, but if you talk to me about Layla, I'm willing to talk to you more. Forget it. Hearing Huamin talk about Layla, Huasiqian frowned and didn't say anything else. In fact, it wasn't that he didn't want to talk about it, but it was about Layla. Huasiqian was left with bad memories. What if his emotions got the better of him and brought out that psycho Jack? Wouldn't that be the opposite of what he wanted? Therefore, Huasiqian didn't say anything in the end. Instead, he followed Suyu out of the door and into the car. Can we escape? Why do I feel like it's too easy? Is this a trap set by you and that psycho to let us go on purpose? Suyu stared at Huasiqian from the passenger seat and asked, Your imagination is really wild. I think you're more suited to writing novels than running an entertainment company. Huasiqian smiled. Don't you think it's too easy for us to escape? So you still felt that something was wrong. Chapter 4060. Was it easy? If I hadn't hidden for so long and tricked Layla, do you think you guys would have been able to escape? Just because of that idiot Zhao Qingya, and she was so indecisive? Huasiqian's tone was full of contempt and mockery. He couldn't believe that someone as smart as Huamin was actually willing to believe Zhao Qingya. Perhaps Huamin really had no choice back then? You and Mian keep talking about Layla. Who is this person? Is she the big boss behind this? Suyu finally couldn't hold back his curiosity. After all, he had only seen Layla once before, and it was when he was unconscious and thought he was in a dream. Therefore, he didn't know that there was a woman who looked exactly like Huamin. They were so similar that it was strange. The less you know about her, the better. Why? Suyu was confused. For your own good. Suyu, the two men were both deeply in love with Huamian, so their relationship was a little weird. Although they weren't each other's husbands, they were always secretly competing with each other. Perhaps Suyu was too tired from the recent torture, or perhaps it was because the anesthetic Huamin gave him was still in effect. In short, he fell asleep after a short while, and he was in a deep sleep. Huasiqian sat in the car, but he wasn't sleepy at all. He didn't dare to sleep. He had to watch the surroundings. If Layla's men caught up, he could escape with Huamin. Huasiqian never told Huamin that Layla seemed to have a very powerful watch on her wrist. It could locate Huamin. Layla had sent Huasiqian to chase after them because she had discovered that they had escaped. Layla hadn't moved yet, which meant that she was probably entangled with Lu Yin or Qin Chu. However, he didn't know how long she could last. Therefore, Huasiqian felt uneasy. Huamin wasn't sleepy at all in the room. The two men left the 2 blankets Ling brought for her. Huamin tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she got up. She carried a blanket out and walked to the door of the car. Huasiqian was a little surprised. Why are you out? It's cold outside. Go in. I'll give you 2 a blanket. Otherwise, it'll be hard for the rest of the night. Before Huasiqian, Huamin opened the car door and put the blanket in. Then, he glanced at Suyu, who was sound asleep. Is he asleep? Yes, he looks very tired. He hasn't been sleeping well recently. That psycho Zhao Qingya tortured Suyu for a long time. Huamin said with heartache. It's good enough that he's alive. I've been with Layla for so long, but I've never seen anyone captured by her survive. By the way, Zheng Ro is dead. What? Huamin was shocked. Was Zheng Ro really captured by you? Huamin remembered that Zheng Ro had disappeared for so long that even Secretary Zheng couldn't do anything about it. He and President Wu had taken the blame and been fired for no reason. It turned out that it was really this group of people who did it. Huasiqi nodded. Yeah, don't underestimate Zheng Ro. She has a deep background. Layla said that she wanted to use Zheng Ro as a bait to lure out the big tiger above her. And then? Huamin was curious. But Zheng Ro wouldn't say anything. Her boss seems to have a sensitive identity. If I'm not wrong, he's a big figure in Jing City. It's so complicated. Huamin frowned. Layla must have thought of this and captured Zheng Ro. But Zheng Ro wouldn't say anything. In the end, Layla lost her patience and tortured her to death. Zheng Ro's death was tragic, but Huasiqian was afraid that Huamin wouldn't be able to bear it, so he downplayed it. Huasiqian, is there a bigger boss behind Layla? Huamin suddenly asked. Chapter 4061. Why do you ask that? Huasiqian smiled and looked at Huamin gently. Because when I heard you all call her young mistress, I felt that she was at most the second leader. There should be someone more powerful above her. Yeah, I have the same idea as you. Unfortunately, Layla never mentioned it, and I really don't know anything about it. What about Jack? Does Jack know? Huamin suddenly had a thought. I can't pry into Jack's memories, but he knows my memories. This is the most magical and unfair part of us. So, if you want to know, you have to ask Jack yourself. But that guy is full of lies, so I suggest you don't meet him. Huamian smiled as well. Maybe I've really become dumb after getting pregnant. I didn't even realize you were Huasiqian in the bamboo house. I was wondering why Jack was suddenly so nice to me. I thought he was being nice to me because of his conscience. Yes, when Huamin was in the bamboo building, her mind was filled with thoughts of how to escape or protect Suyu. She ignored the smallest details. Otherwise, she would have seen through it long ago. Huasiqian pretended to be Jack, so much so that even Layla couldn't tell. Only Huamin could tell because Jack looked at Huamin with deep hatred, wanting to tear her apart. However, Huasiqian always looked at Huamin with a gentle gaze. Even though he tried his best to pretend to be Jack, that gentle gaze couldn't be changed. After you got pregnant, you did become stupid and ugly. Huasiqian looked at Huamin's embarrassed expression and burst into laughter. He almost woke up Suyu, who was beside him. Fortunately, Suyu was in a deep sleep. He only turned over and continued to sleep. Mian, I haven't talked to you like this in a long time. I really want to go back to the old days. Huasiqian sighed. He suddenly missed the days when he worked at the whole corporation. Occasionally, she would flirt with Huamin when she saw him. She would even give him some face masks to please him. She would even personally choose a present for his birthday. But later on, because of his crazy plan, that situation was completely overturned. Huasiqian should have been the person that Huamin hated the most in her life, but she didn't hate him. Or rather, she didn't hate him that much. This was also the most complicated and delicate relationship between the two of them. I can't go back. Many things can't go back once they change. Huamin sighed slightly. She also wanted to go back to the past, but she knew that everything could not go back. I heard. Huayin is dead? Huasiqian said casually. It was obvious that he had no feelings for Huayin, a family member who grew up with him. It was as if he was talking about an outsider. Yeah, she's dead. This time, she's really dead. Huamin nodded. Success and failure are all caused by the same person. Haha, back then, Huayin used Shenmingxi's love to do so many stupid things. In the end, she died at Shenmingxi's hands. TSK. How ironic. I'm afraid she didn't even know what was going on until she died. Huasiqian seemed to know a lot about this matter. You can't say that she died at Shenmingxi's hands. He didn't do it himself. He just used someone else to do it. Huamin explained calmly. Isn't it the same? What about the child she left behind after she died? Huasiqian asked. You mean Tian? Chapter 4062. Yeah, the kid Hui Yin left behind. He's still with Shun Mingxi, but he was sent to another city to study. Shun Mingxi and Wei Ying got back together. Shun Mingxi will cry in the future if he doesn't get rid of the root of the problem. Hua Xiqian smiled wickedly. You don't like the kid, either? Huamin knew Hua Xiqian's words were crude, but they made sense. You know the kid's temperament better than anyone else. She's old when she's 3. Just wait and see. When she grows up, she'll be a bitch even worse than her mother. That's not for us to worry about. When she grows up, we'll all be old. Huamin smiled. When she smiled, there was a smile in her eyes, which made Hua Xiqian's heart skip a beat. He reached out his hand to touch Hua Mian's face, but Hua Mian instinctively took a step back to avoid him. Mian, why don't you run away with me? I'll take care of your son for Qinshu. I'll treat you and your son well for the rest of your life. Hua Xiqian didn't sound like he was joking. Thank you for your kindness, but I don't want to be imprisoned on a deserted island by you anymore. Huamin answered his question in a joking tone, so it wouldn't be so awkward. We won't go to a deserted island anymore. We'll go wherever you want us to go. Switzerland, Finland, Denmark, Norway. We'll go to a place where no one knows us. But I have nothing now. I don't have money or power. All I have left is my undying loyalty to you. Hua Xiqian smiled self-deprecatingly. You can't run out of money. I care about money the most. My son and I must live a good life. So, don't run away with us. It's too tiring. It'll be better if we don't starve. Huamin also smiled. If only this child was mine. Hua Xiqian glanced at Huamin's stomach and suddenly asked. Hua Xiqian was particularly talkative tonight. In fact, the conversation between the two of them tonight was a kind of harmony and calmness that had never happened in the past 20 years. At first, Huamin didn't know what he meant. He thought that he was just old and had become long-winded after experiencing so many things. Later on, she realized that it was the last time in her life. Her conversation with Hua Xiqian was truly the last time, because after that night, she would never have such a chance again. Never again. The moon tonight is so round. Huamin looked up the sky awkwardly, because she didn't want to continue the conversation with Hua Xiqian. It was too awkward. Seeing her evasive attitude, Hua Xiqian chuckled softly. Then, he jumped out of the car in a clean and efficient manner. Without any warning, he squatted down and tied Huamin's shoelaces for her. Huamin didn't move. His body was a little stiff. You're going to be a mother again, but you're still so careless. Southside has always said that you're a serious, responsible, and meticulous doctor. I strongly doubt that. After tying the shoelaces, Hua Xiqian stood up and laughed at Huamin. Thank you. No matter what, Hua Xiqian meant well, so Huamin didn't say anything hurtful. The night was unusually quiet. In this remote mountain village, Hua Xiqian and Huamin reminisced a lot about the past under the starry sky. Huamin completely forgot that he was being hunted down. In Sea City, after Su Yu's accident, Lady Su didn't go to work. She stayed at home and washed her face with tears. When Han Yueyao came to visit, the maid took her directly to the bedroom. She saw the haggard Lady Su. Auntie, Han Yueyao said sadly. Chapter 4063. Yao Yao, why are you here? Yeah, I don't have rehearsals today, so I came to see you. Han Yueyao was a down-to-earth child. She was well-mannered and well-educated. She didn't come empty-handed, even though she knew the Su family didn't lack anything. But she still bought some fresh fruits and a box of donkey-hide gelatin for Lady Su out of courtesy. Sit down, I'll go tidy up. Lady Su was a well-mannered woman. Seeing a guest, she pulled herself together to freshen up. It wasn't Han Yueyao's first time at the Su family's old mansion, but it was her first time visiting alone. To be honest, she struggled for a long time. Maybe she wouldn't be welcomed, or maybe Lady Su would be too sad to talk to her. Her visit might not make Madame Su feel better. She thought about it for a long time. In the end, she decided to visit Lady Su. Su Yu's disappearance should be the saddest for the Su family, and the saddest would always be the mother. As a mother, she and her child were the most connected. Lady Su quickly tidied up and changed into a dark green velvet cheongsam. She smiled elegantly and led Han Yueyao to the living room downstairs. The maid prepared some tea, snacks, and fruits. Auntie, and Lord Su, they're back in Jing City. Then, about President Su, you know about it? Lady Su looked at Han Yueyao and guessed it. Yeah, I forced him. He told me everything. Han Yueyao lowered her head guiltily. Has been through a lot. Mrs. Su's eyes turned red as tears welled up in her eyes. Han Yueyao immediately reached out and placed her hand on the back of Lady Su's hand. Auntie, President Su will come back safely. Sister Mian went to save him, and so did President Qin. Yeah, with Mian and Chu there, I'm relieved. I really hope we'll be fine. Every time something happened to Su Yu, Mrs. Su would be the saddest person in the world. Auntie, you have to take care of yourself. Don't make President Su worry. I will. I can still hold on. His father and grandfather, on the other hand, have to continue to be busy because of work. They have unspeakable bitterness in their hearts. Sorry for troubling you. Yao, how have you been? I've been following Dancing Allure. You're about to enter the finals, right? Yeah, the finals are this weekend. Are you sure you can win? Lady Su asked with a gentle smile. I'm not sure. Though, why are you so unconfident? Lady Su smiled through her tears. She felt helpless at Han Yueyao's honesty. Auntie, I'm not being modest or not confident. The point is that my opponents are too strong. They all dance very well. I've always thought that I was just lucky. Besides, I've also taken advantage of Yuan Bo's popularity. He has a lot of fans who have been buying votes for us. Otherwise, I would have been eliminated long ago. So, I really don't dare to think about being the champion. Who said so? I think you dance very well. You're very hardworking. Last time when your foot was injured, you still persisted. You're scary when you're stubborn. Yeah, President Su and I are quite alike in this aspect. We're both stubborn donkeys. After saying that, Han Yueyao felt it was inappropriate and immediately corrected herself. No. I mean, I'm a stubborn donkey. President Su, he's not. Seeing Han Yueyao's cute appearance, Lady Su's mood improved inexplicably. Yao, if he comes back safely, are you still willing to be the daughter-in-law of the Su family? Lady Su changed the topic, making Han Yueyao's cheeks flush. Chapter 4064. Auntie, it's not a matter of whether I'm willing or not. Yao, tell me first. Do you like Yu? Perhaps Lady Su was the most honest mother in the world and was worried sick about her son's marriage. Han Yueyao raised her hand and rubbed the tip of her nose. She really couldn't bring herself to say it. Lady Su's gaze was so intense. Auntie, I do like Su Yu. Han Yueyao closed her eyes and gritted her teeth. Finally, for the first time, she admitted her feelings for Su Yu so openly. It was like a child who had hidden a secret for a long time and finally told it to her parents. It was the kind of embarrassment, shyness, and anxiety. After hearing this, Mrs. Su smiled sweetly. It's Ryu's fortune to be liked by such a good girl like Yao. Annie, don't say that. Su Yu is too outstanding. I'm not good enough for him. Whether it's his family background, education, or other aspects, I'm too inferior. Han Yueyao knew that from the beginning of this relationship, she had been at a disadvantage and felt inferior. This was also the reason why she had always secretly liked Su Yu but never wanted to confess her feelings to him. Just as she had said to Su Xiaoxiao before, she knew her own worth. Unlike the female artists at Imperial Star, once they became famous, they became arrogant and thought that they were the crown princess of the Su family and the lady boss of Imperial Star. Silly girl, what era are we living in now? In the Republic of China, it's all about mutual affection. How can there be so many couples of equal social status? Besides, even if you're from a prestigious family, not all of you have good character. At first, I only hoped that Yu's wife wouldn't be in the entertainment industry in the future. After all, that industry is too complicated and I wanted to be more innocent. But now, you've already stepped into the entertainment industry and debuted. You even have your own fans, but that doesn't affect my judgment of your character. I've lived for a long time, and I can tell that you're a good girl. Yao. Auntie, I'm very touched by your recognition of me. You said that love is about mutual love. I like Su Yu, but Su Yu doesn't seem to like me. You know, in his heart, he's always... In his heart, there must be a woman of his own, Lady Sue interrupted. Han Yao was silent. Yao Yao, if you comes back safely this time, I'll try my best to set you up. No, no, no. Auntie, I beg you, please don't. President Sue is a man who yearns for freedom and does whatever he wants. I don't want him to be tied down. Besides, I've made up my mind that if he comes back safely, I'll confess my love to him. If he rejects me, I won't give up. I'll show him the persistence he has for Sister Mian. I believe one day I'll be able to move him, right? You're such a tear-jerker. Lady Sue almost burst into tears when she heard Han Yao's words. She was surprised that the girl was so thoughtful. Han Yao suddenly changed the topic and said, I want to say something ominous. Auntie, please don't blame me. I'm just telling you what I think, okay? Okay, tell me. I could take anything now. Lady Sue smiled through her tears. Chapter 4065. Han Yao licked her dry lips and took a deep breath. Then she sat down across from Lady Sue and looked at her as she said word by word, Auntie, if Suyu doesn't come back, or even can't come back in the future, I'm willing to undergo artificial insemination and give birth to a child for him. Hearing this, Lady Sue was completely shocked. I know that President Sue has frozen sperm in the hospital. There have been many women who wanted to use this method to get pregnant, but none of them succeeded because the person who authorized it was you. I've never thought of using this method to get pregnant, but if one day President Sue really can't come back for some reason, I think that at that time, I'm willing to give birth to a child for him to continue his life. Of course, I definitely won't use this to threaten the Sue family, enter the Sue family, or accumulate wealth, because I don't have any desire for wealth, and those aren't what I want. I always feel that if I truly love someone, I have to do something for them. Just like how President Sue treated Sister Mian. He's done so much for her over the years. President Sue did his best to protect Sister Mian, so I'll do my best to protect President Sue. Lady Sue didn't speak, but tears flowed down her cheeks uncontrollably. When the time comes, whether it's a boy or a girl, I'll leave a child for him. When the child is born, I'll bring it to you. As for me, I just want to see him often. Of course. Annie, I didn't mean to curse President Sue not to come back. I was just saying if. Please don't overthink it. Seeing Lady Sue's strange mood, Han Yao hurried to explain. She blamed herself for being a jinx. Why did she say that Suyu wouldn't come back? Lady Sue grabbed Han Yao's hand excitedly. You've really opened my eyes today. I've never seen anyone as stupid as you. He's gone, and you still want to have a child. Tell me, are you stupid? You're still an unmarried girl. Why do you have to humiliate yourself like this? Isn't this humiliating? This is the after effect of love. Han Yao smiled shyly. Lady Sue's heart was filled with mixed feelings. Let's not talk about this. I'm willing to let you give birth to children for the Sue family, but not through artificial insemination. I want you to give birth to a healthy baby. When the time comes, you can have a few more children. I plan to open a separate kindergarten for them. Hearing his words, Han Yao giggled. Lady Sue also had a pure and innocent side. People who loved Suyu deeply were all so emotional and kind. When she came back from the Sue family, she felt relaxed. She felt that she had more or less comforted Annie Sue, making her not so sad anymore. Yuan Bo was still chasing after Han Yao. Even on Weibo, they would often post ambiguous sentences to mislead fans into thinking that they were in a relationship. A notification popped up on WeChat. She opened it immediately, afraid that it was from Suyu. She didn't have time to reply. It turned out to be Su Xiao, who was still talking about old times. She posted a photo of herself wearing a military uniform. There seemed to be a blurry figure of a man behind her, who was also wearing a military uniform. What's going on? Xiao. It's what you see. This is my current platoon leader. Isn't he handsome? Are you serious? So fast. Han Yao teased. Fast. I've been looking for him for more than a month. Haha, I finally found a good one. By the way, what about you? I heard that you're in a relationship with a male celebrity. Stop gossiping. I'm not. That guy's in my cup of tea. Then do you have a chance with my uncle? Did you kiss? Did you sleep with him? Su Xiao asked directly. Chapter 4066. No. Don't talk bad about your uncle. He's a good man. Now that Su Yu wasn't here, Han Yueyao didn't want to tease Su Yu, even if it was just a joke. Whoa, can't you take a joke? You're so infatuated with my uncle? Don't talk nonsense. Han Yueyao was embarrassed. Fine, you're such a coward. By the time you confess your love to him, my uncle will be celebrating his 66th birthday. Ha! Anyway, you'll be happy as long as you can get him in your life. Su Xiao always liked to talk nonsense, and Han Yueyao was used to it. Xiao, are you really in love? Han Yueyao asked again. Yeah, what about Lin Hang? Have you forgotten him completely? Han Yueyao thought Xiao was a very affectionate person. She had loved Lin Hang for a long time and loved him deeply. In the end, she went to the Northwest Army. It had only been a few months. How could she forget everything? Yao, give me some time. The past is the past. I can't just live in the memories of the past. After I came to the Northwest and joined the Army, I realized that love is nothing in front of the country. I was too narrow-minded before. Now that I'm a soldier and have a sense of mission and responsibility, I realize that there are actually many things in this world that are far more important than love, such as our friendship. Fine, don't make me cry. Han Yueyao was a little touched. Ha. Okay, I'll talk to you later. You have high-intensity training. Yao, good luck. I have faith in you. I'll look forward to the day when I can call you Annie. After chatting with Su Xiao on WeChat, Han Yueyao was worried again. He had been gone for so long without any news. Would President Su come back safely? And Sister Mian, she was pregnant. How could she take such a risk? Han Yueyao suddenly felt inferior. As a latecomer, she couldn't fit into that circle. She couldn't surpass the relationships between Huamin and Su Yu, Qin Shu and Gao Ran. She picked up her cell phone and dialed N's number. Miss Han, Xiaoan, is there any news? Not yet. Oh, you must tell me immediately if you have any news, okay? Okay, don't worry. As long as there's news about President Su, I'll definitely tell you. Yes, thank you. Then she hung up the phone. Early morning, the small mountain village was filled with the fragrance of sufficient oxygen and soil. Huamin could only see the haze in the big city, but he could not feel it. The air is so fresh. Huamin stretched himself tiredly and then got up to check his watch. It was only 6 o'clock in the morning. The sky outside had just begun to brighten. Sister, are we still eating corn paste today? Xiaoling woke up very early. She walked in quietly and asked in a low voice. Huamin heard from her yesterday that there was only corn paste at home. Sure, the corn paste is delicious. I'll cook it with Xiaoling. Huamin stood up. Don't. You're pregnant and can't work. I could do it myself. The little girl was very sensible. It was said that children of poor families matured early. She didn't ask Huamin to help her. Wearing thin clothes, she began to cook breakfast for everyone. Huamian didn't feel good as she looked at her thin back. She had been thinking that as long as she could get home safely, she would pick up the grandmother and granddaughter. It was fate that brought them together. At this moment, Huasiqian walked in and glanced at Huamin. We should go. Chapter 4067. Isn't it too early? It's just dawn. We should at least eat before leaving. Huamin felt that Huasiqian was a little anxious. I don't have a good time. I have a bad feeling. That feeling has never failed all these years. It's a very dangerous feeling. I think Layla's people should be catching up soon. I don't know what method she used, but she can indeed see your location. Right now, we're hoping to run to a town, a place with communication, or an army. After all, with Su Yu's identity, it'll be safer to seek the protection of the army. That's serious? It'll only be more serious than we thought. So let's go. Don't eat breakfast first. Running is more important. All right. Huami nodded. He wanted to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, the pursuers would arrive soon. If he implicated the grandfather and grandson pair, he would feel too guilty. Layla was an extreme pervert who killed without batting an eye. If she really killed the grandfather and grandson pair because of her, Huamin would definitely not feel good. Thinking about it this way, he felt that Huasiqian's words made sense. Huamin got up and packed up before bidding farewell to the little girl and the old granny. Although he did not say much to the old granny from the beginning to the end, Huamin knew that they were good people, so he was still a little confused at first. After all, he was in a daze from his sleep. After Huamin gave a simple explanation, the three of them hurried on their way. Before Huamin left, he asked about the location and name of the village again and again. He planned to send someone to pick up Xiao Ling in the future. Perhaps it was because Huasiqian sensed danger, but this time he actually let Su Yu sit in the front passenger seat while he drove. The car drove very fast, exceeding the speed limit all the way. The three of them did not speak in the car. Everyone knew that this path of escape would not be easy to traverse. After running for about an hour, Su Yu was the first to speak. It seems like we need to work harder. We can't run far. Looks like it's not easy to find a gas station here. Huamin looked around. Other than mountains, there were more mountains. According to the map, we'll pass by a small service area in 40 minutes. There will definitely be gas stations there. We can also buy some food and continue on our way, Huasiqian said. But we don't have any money. So he was very embarrassed. He used to think that money was endless, but now he was embarrassed because of money. As the old saying goes, a single penny stumps a hero. It's okay, you have a watch. Huasiqian smiled. Fuck, you're at it again. Su Yu glared at him. The two of them seemed to be born at odds. Whenever they spoke, they would bicker. In the end, Huamin couldn't be bothered to intervene. Huamin sat in the back. Perhaps he was too tired from the bumpy ride, so he fell asleep in a daze. In her dream, she saw an extremely bloody scene. Lu Yan's black windbreaker was soaked with blood. She lay on the ground in the forest, dying. Blood dripped from her forehead. Her eyes were closed, and her face was pale. Sis, help me, she said weakly. Yin, what's wrong? Huamin wanted to run over and help Lu Yan up, but before he could, the scene changed. She saw a woman who looked exactly like her hugging Qin Chu. Qin Chu's expression was wooden as he let the woman hug him. Honey. She called him honey. Qin Chu, that's not me. That's not me. Don't believe her. Huamin woke up from the nightmare, screaming. She touched her forehead and was drenched in sweat. Mian, what's wrong? Su Yu and Huasiqian turned around at the same time, worried. Chapter 4068. Huamin froze for a moment before coming back to his senses. I just had a nightmare. I dreamed that Yin and my husband were in danger. Huamin felt his heart pounding wildly as if the dream was too real and really scared him. Dreams are the opposite of reality. Don't worry. Lu Yin and Qin Chu have probably beaten that bitch into a meat patty by now. From the beginning to the end, Su Yu had only seen Layla once. However, he thought that it was just a dream. It was just a hallucination that appeared because he was confused by his high fever. So Su was the only woman who didn't know that Layla and Huamin looked exactly like each other. After hearing Huamin and Huasiqian mention it a few times, he guessed that the woman named Layla was the mastermind and a big bad person. I hope so. Mian, have some water. Su handed him a bottle of mineral water. Huamin took it and took a sip, still looking worried. Are you all hungry? Hold on a little longer. We're almost at the service area. It's okay. I can hold on. Huamin didn't want to be a burden to everyone, so although he felt a little uncomfortable, he gritted his teeth and held on. She knew that if Layla's men caught up with them, not to mention her and Su Yu, Huasiqian would be dead for sure. If Layla found out that he had pretended to be Jack and lied to her for a long time, she would probably want to tear his body into pieces. At this thought, Layla felt sick again. On the other side, Layla looked at the dying Lu Yin and smiled contemptuously. TSK. So this is your strength. The leader of the mercenary world, the goddess of the assassin world, and the invincible war goddess? You're really good at bragging. Lu Yin, you really disappoint me. Shut your stinky mouth. Do you believe that I'll blow you up? Lu Yin said a few words with difficulty. Everyone who knew Lu Yin knew she was an explosive genius. According to Professor Lu, when Lu Yin was 3 years old, she could make more than 10 kinds of bombs, which were very powerful. The older she got, the more she learned. These were not taught by the professor. The father and daughter had only been on the run all these years. The professors didn't have a chance to teach her, but Lu Yin did have the talent. She might be able to learn things that others would take 10 years to learn in a few hours. That was why she was already a peerless expert in her early 20s. He was the famous Interpol, the most wanted criminal, and a figure that gave terrorists headaches. But at this moment, she was lying on the ground in a sorry state, feeling her life slipping away. Lu Yin knew she was doomed this time because the woman in front of her wasn't human. Although Lu Yin was an atheist, she never believed in ghosts and gods. However, this woman's actions and abilities had indeed exceeded the limits of a human. This was illogical. Lu Yin had been with her father for a long time, so she knew this very well. At the last moment, she wanted to use a bomb that she had carried with her for many years to ignite this place. Then, he would perish together with this female monster. But, are you looking for your miniature bomb? Layla had a rice-sized object in her hand. Why do you have it? Lu Yin looked at her in horror. It was something that had been embedded in her skin and flesh. It would only appear when her body exploded and self-ignited. But why was it in the woman's hands? I have to say, the bomb you developed is really good. But if you want to use it to blow me up, it's a bit stupid. Layla held the little thing and looked at it with interest. Her words had indeed destroyed Lu Yin's last hope of perishing together. I lost. I admit defeat. Kill me. Lu Yin was still arrogant. Chapter 4069. You want to die? It's not that easy. Lu Yin blacked out and didn't know anything. When she woke up, it was a long time later. Young madam, what should we do with the other side? Should we shoot them all? One of her subordinates asked cautiously. Shoot them all? Who gave you the guts? Layla, who was wearing a golden mask, turned her head abruptly. She gripped the man's neck tightly and broke his collarbone instantly. It happened in an instant, so her explosive force was even greater than Lu Yin's. Of course, she knew who they were talking about. While she dealt with Lu Yin quickly, Qin Shu was clearing mines on the other side of the road carefully. How long will it take for them to cross the minefield? Layla asked impatiently as she played with her nails. In about 10 minutes, they'll cross the last minefield. Okay, send Gonger over. Young madam, what should we do? Kill them or keep them alive? When they saw their accomplice say something wrong and get his throat cut by Layla in an instant, everyone was terrified. They were afraid that they would do something wrong. Layla paused for a moment and continued. Just let him try his best. If Qin Shu can't even beat my Gonger, then I don't think there's any reason for me to continue playing with him. I don't like weaklings. Weaklings shouldn't exist in this world. Okay, young madam, I'll go and tell them. Indeed, Qin Shu led more than a dozen people through the last minefield carefully. He was a little excited that he might be able to see his Mions soon. However, a man stood at the end of the bamboo forest. He was tall and strong, and his physique was comparable to that of a Japanese sumo wrestler. On such a cold day, he was shirtless and wore a pair of wide-legged black pants. His long hair was tied into a black bun like that of Taoist priest. As soon as Qin Shu saw this person, he immediately became alert. Qin Shu's subordinate was too impatient and raised his gun to shoot at the man. The man dodged slightly and dodged the bullet. Furthermore, the person who fired the shot was suddenly shot in the head. Then he fell to the ground. Qin Shu frowned slightly and looked around. He immediately understood that there were snipers lying in ambush. If he wasn't careful, his head might explode at any time. Without waiting for Qin Shu to speak, the big man had already spoken. Brat, our master said that if you beat me, I'll let you pass. Otherwise, you and your subordinates will all die here. You have no other choice. Qin Shu's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, that was the case. President Qin, let's go all out. We have a lot of people. We'll cover you while you run. One of Qin Shu's loyal subordinates whispered to him. Don't even think about running away. There are already 30 snipers around, and there are only 10 of you. That is to say, we can use 1 second to shoot and hit each of you with 2 bullets. With such a probability, do you really want to try it? The man mocked. Shu didn't think that he was a good-for-nothing. Perhaps he could try his luck. However, among the dozen people he brought with him, some were his own people and some were Lu Yan's people. He didn't want to implicate these people and cause them to die here with him. So, in the end, even if it was a trap, Shu had no other choice. He put down the gun in his hand and handed it to the people behind him. Don't act rashly. Wait for me here. President Qin, I'm fine. Shu walked up to the big man, reached out his hand, and slowly took off his black jacket. One-on-one. Come on, let's play. Shu smiled wickedly, his eyes filled with unprecedented wildness. Chapter 4070. Shu had expected that this trip would be full of difficulties. Especially after the call from the professor, he was even more careful. The professor knew Lu Yan's strength the best, but even he said that this trip would be dangerous. Then, even if they encountered any difficulties, they wouldn't be surprised, right? With this mentality, Mian used to say that they would deal with whatever came their way. Now, in order to save his wife and Suyu, Shu had to charge forward. However, based on his years of intuition, this big blockhead wasn't easy to deal with. Logically speaking, Shu was nimble and agile. Plus, he was more than 180 centimeters tall, which gave him an advantage. However, this big guy was about 2 meters tall and had an extremely tall and sturdy body. He was like a little giant. If he was hit by him, it would be hard for him to get up. So, from the beginning, Shu had never had a love rival. When the blockhead walked, the ground would emit thumping sounds. With Shu's order, the subordinates behind him didn't dare to act rashly. They could only watch the battle carefully and anxiously. That guy looks like a big monster. He doesn't look like a fucking human. Not only is he so tall, but he's also so fat. One of the subordinates muttered, "Yeah, President Qin, this battle doesn't look easy. We have to keep an eye on him. Boss didn't send us here for nothing. Even if we die, we can't let President Qin get hurt. Don't worry, you guys. President Qin is still very strong. Maybe we'll win. Didn't that person say that if President Qin wins, he'll let us in?" In the end, everyone decided to wait and see. Shu waved his hand provocatively at the big blockhead. The big monster charged over angrily and punched Shu in the head. He thought that since he was tall and strong, he should be a little slow. Unfortunately, Shu didn't expect this. This big monster wasn't slow. His punches were very fast, and his movements were very clean. If this was the case, it really wouldn't be easy to fight. The big monster kept attacking in a state of rage. Those who have seen the Hulk should know how terrible that kind of destructive power with anger is. Shu didn't make a sound for the time being. He just wanted to hide and use this opportunity to figure out the big monster's tricks. However, the big monster seemed to be very energetic. It kept attacking without stopping. Shu didn't even have a chance to catch his breath, so after 5 minutes, he was already panting. In a monitoring interface, Layla looked at all of this and smiled. He can't take it anymore. Gong is a very energetic man. If Shu keeps dodging, he'll be stomped into meat paste by Gong when he's exhausted. Layla's analysis was right. If Shu continued to dodge, it was indeed not the best plan. Shu himself had also discovered this, so when the fight lasted for 8 minutes, he had already made a decision. Seizing the opportunity, he immediately kicked out, wanting to trip this big monster first. Unfortunately, he stumbled, but he didn't fall. This big monster was unexpectedly strong. With a kick, Shu fell to the ground. Then, the big monster raised his foot and stomped hard on Shu's chest. The scene was very intense. President Qin, be careful. His subordinates behind him panicked and wanted to rush up. Fortunately, Shu reacted very quickly. He rolled on the ground and dodged the fatal kick. Then, he quickly got up. The whole process took no more than 3 seconds, and his reaction was quite amazing. He had to thank the professional brain development and reaction speed training he had received from his tutor at the Harvard Medical School when he was studying medicine. If Shu weren't here today, he might have been stomped to death on the spot. Watching the monitoring screen, Layla laughed out loud. "Do you guys want to place your bets? Guess how long he can last?" Layla seemed to be in an extremely good mood. She liked watching this kind of battle between strong masters, or rather a life-and-death struggle. Chapter 4071. The person behind Layla laughed. I think the fight will end in 3 minutes. I think Gonger will flatten this guy in 5 minutes. I think Gonger will kill his prey in 2 minutes. These people were very clear about the fighting strength of this monster. In the past few years, they have been very clear about the fighting strength of this monster. Layla had found him in Mongolia a few years ago and brought him back to transform him. Then, he was almost invincible in the past few years. Whether it was fighting in the black market in Thailand or participating in those inhuman and cruel finals in Las Vegas, he was a killer machine. He had already become a killing machine. Killing people was as simple as squashing an ant to him. Maybe it was because he had killed too many people, but Gonger's temper was getting worse. That was why he got angrier and angrier during the fight. Especially when his opponent didn't fall, it would arouse his desire to kill. This was what Layla liked most about him. Watching him compete and torturing his opponents was like a spiritual feast. Therefore, these people were very confident in Gonger. Layla, on the other hand, smiled sweetly, showing a smile that only Huamin would have. I bet that person will defeat Gonger. Her subordinates fell silent. They were suspicious and doubtful, but no one dared to say anything. After all, they didn't want to anger this crazy woman. Gonger was impatient when he saw Qin Chu still dodging. His voice became louder and louder, like a roaring beast. He seemed to have lost his patience. His movements were faster and stronger. If this continued, Qin Chu's fight would become more and more difficult. Therefore, Qin Chu decided to take the initiative. He went behind the monster and punched his waist. Qin Chu used all his strength in this punch. Even a tiger would feel pain from this punch. However, the monster didn't seem to feel anything. He grabbed Qin Chu and threw him away. After being thrown, Qin Chu lost his balance and fell heavily to the ground. He only felt that his internal organs were beginning to ache. However, he didn't have time to rest because the monster was running toward him. If he didn't get up, he would be trampled to death. Chairman Qin, please get up. That big monster is so strange. It was punched by President Qin, but nothing happened to it. It's too scary. Is it because its muscles are too solid? Who knows? If only Boss was here. He could just blow up that big monster with explosives. Damn it. One of Liu Yan's subordinates cursed indignantly. Come on, there's so many snipers around. Even if Boss is here, he wouldn't dare to use explosives. He can only fight with his bare hands. At first, I thought that President Qin was just the boss of a corporation and was just a businessman. His skills might just be some fancy moves taught by some taekwondo organization. But looking at President Qin's tactics just now, it's very nimble. He seems to have practiced martial arts for many years. This time, Liu Yan's subordinates witnessed the man's power. Qin Chu usually kept a low profile, so no one knew his true strength. Therefore, sometimes gold had to be tested with fire. If it had been an ordinary martial artist, they would have died several times over after just a few minutes of teaching with this monster. However, Qin Chu was able to hold on until now. They had to admit that he was very strong. Now they understood why even the arrogant Liu Yan had to call Qin Chu brother-in-law politely. Even the arrogant Xiao Fei had to call Qin Chu brother politely. When Qin Chu stood up again, he was obviously not as agile as before. If this continues, I'm going to die. At this moment, this was his inner monologue. Chapter 4072. As Layla watched this exciting battle, she found it more and more interesting. When she brought Gonger back, she cut off his pain nerves with her own hands. In other words, even if you stabbed him with a knife, he wouldn't feel any pain. If he didn't feel any pain, it wouldn't affect his overall mood. This was the secret to winning every battle. He couldn't feel the damage Qin Chu did to him. However, Qin Chu could feel the damage he did to Qin Chu. This was also one of the most unfathomable aspects of the situation. However, Layla believed that she wouldn't be wrong about men. Qin Chu wasn't an ordinary person. He would probably prepare a big move and kill Gonger instantly. Sure enough, just as she thought of this, Then he saw that the style on the screen had changed. Qin Shu stopped attacking Gonger, but he kept teasing him. Like a mouse teasing a cat, Gonger became even angrier and roared. After making Gonger dizzy, Qin Shu found an opportunity and flew up. He poked at Gonger's eyes. Perhaps she didn't expect Qin Shu's jumping ability to be so high that he could directly fly up. Therefore, this big monster wasn't prepared at all. Gonger's eyes were poked hard just like that. Although he couldn't feel any pain, his eyes immediately became blurry and kept bleeding. Like a trapped beast, he rammed around and screamed even more miserably. His screams echoed in the forest, making people shudder. Qin Shu seemed to have looked at him for a long time before he found his weakness. His whole body was very hard, and hitting him was like scratching an itch. There were only two weak spots. One was his eyes, and the other was his lower body. Qin Shu had never been such a despicable person, so he gave up on attacking his lower body and attacked the big monster's eyes directly. His intuition told him that he was on the wrong side. After the big monster lost his sight, he rammed around and couldn't hurt Qin Shu anymore. Qin Shu thought that the battle was over, and those people would take the big monster away for treatment. Unexpectedly, there was a sudden burst of gunfire. The snipers hidden in the surroundings fired at the big monster. The bullets came from all directions like raindrops. They could only watch as this big monster was slaughtered into a sieve by its own companions. And then, he fell to the ground with a loud thud. It was a ghastly sight. In China, in such a peaceful era, in such a safe society ruled by law, there was a price to pay for killing a person. Therefore, Qin Shu and Qin Shu's subordinates were shocked. Qin Shu was shocked at how cruel these people were to their own people. In front of the surveillance camera, young Lord Gonger is dead. Useless trash, of course I can't keep him. I don't raise trash. His eyes were blinded by Qin Shu, so his death is also a kind of relief. Young Lord, you're right. Then, what should we do with Qin Shu and the others? Let them in. Isn't he looking for his wife? Will young mistress meet him? These people thought that young mistress seemed to be interested in Qin Shu and wanted to meet him. Yes, but not now. Now we should go and catch the prey that ran out. Layla stood up, twisting her slender waist with a faint smile on her lips. On the other side, Huasiqian drove fast and soon arrived at the gas station shown on the map. When they were about 500 meters away from the service area, Huasiqian suddenly stopped the car. I'll go and check the situation. If it's not dangerous, you guys go there. If the situation is not good, so you take me on and run. The car is out of gas. Where can we run? Suyu rolled his eyes at him. Run along the mountain road into the mountains. Remember, even if you starve to death in the mountains, you can't let Layla take you back, Huasiqian said seriously and walked toward the service area alone. Chapter 4073. After Huasiqian walked to the service area, only Huamin and Suyu were left in the car. Mian, are you hungry? I'm fine. It's okay. We'll have food soon. I used to think instant noodles were disgusting. Now, if you give me a bowl of hot instant noodles, I'll eat a bowl of soup. Ha! To relieve his stress, Suyu made Huamin laugh. Huamian gave him face and smiled. To be honest, I didn't think I'd come out alive. What are you talking about? I told you you'd be fine. Huamin comforted Suyu. After I went missing, my mom must have been worried sick. Yeah, Annie was very sad. Lord Su and Mr. Su were also very angry. I must have been dumbfounded. Shaon blamed himself. He always felt that he didn't do his job to protect you. It had nothing to do with him. That night, even if it was there, we would have been kidnapped. Besides, it has no value. Maybe he would have been killed by that bitch Zhao Qingya. Yeah, I told him the same thing. But he's under a lot of pressure. He won't be able to get over it unless you come back safely. Yeah. Suyu nodded. After you went missing this time, there was another person who reacted quite strongly. Huamin brought up the topic on purpose. Who? Suyu was puzzled. Yao Yao. Oh, you mean Han Yao? Suyu finally understood. Yeah, I didn't tell her the truth. I only told her you were on a business trip. But she didn't believe me and kept sending you WeChat messages. She's afraid I won't pay her when I'm not around. She's such a money grubber. Suyu chuckled. You know she's not that kind of person. She just worried about you. I'm fine, aren't I? I wonder how that girl is doing in the competition. Suyu thought about the reality show. The finals should be coming up in the next few days. She hopes that you can go back and watch her finals. If I go back, I'll definitely go. After all, she's just a member of the company. Of course, I have to support her. Suyu, your feelings for her, could it be? Before Huamin could finish speaking, he saw Huasiqian wave his hand. Oh, looks like you're fine. Let's go and eat. Suyu carefully helped Huamin out of the car. Then, the two slowly walked toward the service area. Suyu, why do I feel like something is wrong? Huamin whispered as he walked. What happened? I don't know. I just feel that something's not right. I keep feeling that this place is very strange. Why don't we leave and not eat here? Huamin looked around and saw that they were surrounded by mountains. This was really a desolate and remote place with few people. The most important thing was that it was already daybreak and there were still clouds surrounding the area. Logically speaking, there should be birds and small animals in such a large forest. However, it was eerily quiet. Huamin had a feeling that something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Hearing that she was leaving, Suyu was surprised. Huasiqian, this is the nearest service area. If we don't refuel, the car won't last long. Huasiqian just looked at the map. The next service area is 6 hours away. In order to avoid being tracked by those people, we decided not to stay in the nearby town. The town is too small, and it's too easy for us to be found. We have to hide in at least a prefecture-level city to be safe. Hearing Suyu's analysis, Huamin didn't say anything and just walked forward with Suyu. However, he was getting more and more anxious. He had a feeling that something was about to happen. Chapter 4074. Huasiqian was waiting for them at the door, and the three of them walked in together. I've chosen what I want. You can pay now. Huasiqian glanced at Suyu and smiled. Without a word, Suyu took off his Patek Philippe watch and walked straight to the only male employee in the store. We don't have money, but this watch is very valuable. It's enough to buy your service area. Suyu's tone was arrogant, but he was telling the truth. This Patek Philippe watch was worth 1,000,000 yuan, and buying this small service area wasn't a lie. But the male employee looked at Suyu with a poker face. I don't want anything, just money. What? Is there something wrong with your brain? Look carefully. This is a Patek Philippe watch. Do you know the brand? Suyu was furious. If it weren't for this awkward situation, he wouldn't be so stupid as to use 1,000,000 yuan watch to exchange for dozens of yuan worth of food and a few hundred yuan worth of gas. I don't want a Patek Philippe, just 100 yuan. The male employee was stubborn. Go and find your boss. Suyu was impatient. No boss. No boss. Manager is fine. I'm the manager. Fuck. Suyu was shocked. Huamin, on the other hand, had been looking around since they entered the store. There was only one employee here, and his expression was very strange. Huasiqian, I can't deal with him. He won't take the watch. Suyu went in high spirits and came back dejectedly. Huasiqian pulled over a chair for Huamian to sit down. Then, he walked towards the male employee with a smile. Without a word, he took out his gun and pointed it at the male employee's head. Listen, kid, I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. We need to fill up the gas tank and order some food. We won't hurt anyone. Don't play tricks. My gun can go off easily. You, is this a fake toy gun? The clerk stuttered as he looked at Huasiqian in disbelief. Huasiqian smiled and changed the direction of the gun. He aimed it at a glass bottle of candy on the counter behind him. With a bang, the glass bottle instantly shattered. That impact, how is it like a toy gun? With this kind of power, if it were to directly explode his head would probably split open, right? This time, the male employee no longer had a poker face. His expression changed drastically. Don't kill me. I'll listen to you. Huasiqian then smiled at Huamin and Suyu, who were not far away. His expression clearly said, I've got it. Fuck. How is this possible? Is this considered robbery? Suyu's horizons were truly broadened. Perhaps being born into a military family, Suyu's mindset was very traditional. Therefore, he never thought that he would one day appear as a robber. Although it was a last resort, It was too unbelievable. Huasiqian was different. He was not a good person to begin with, so he did not mind being a robber at all. So he was playing with me when he asked me to be his watch? So you finally realized. Humin only smiled. Huasiqian's little prank on Suyu was actually harmless. After the male employee was threatened by Huasiqian, he was so scared that he wet his pants. Under Huasiqian's gaze, he filled up the gas tank. Then, he took the initiative to boil instant noodles for the three of them. During this time, the three of them sat on the chairs, seemingly waiting for the meal to start. The atmosphere was very relaxed, but Huamin was still unable to relax. There should be surveillance cameras here. What you did just now, you'll be arrested and sentenced. Huamin glanced at Huasiqian worriedly. Sentenced? Do you think I care? Huasiqian smiled evilly. He looked like he had nothing to lose. Huasiqian, after we escape safely, what are your plans? Will you follow us back to Sea City? Suyu asked curiously. Chapter 4075. Are you telling the truth or a lie? Huasiqian opened a lollipop and handed it to Huamin. Then, she opened another one and put it in her mouth like a naughty child. Nonsense, of course it's the truth. As for the truth, I haven't thought about it because I think we'll talk about it after we escape. Huasiqian smiled. What are you talking about? We'll continue driving after we eat. We'll reach the nearest prefecture-level city in 6 hours, right? So you felt that the escape was going smoothly. This was the last step. As long as they left this place, everything would be over. However, Huasiqian didn't seem to think so. Yes, we'll talk about it after we escape. Huasiqian emphasized this sentence. Huamin felt even more uneasy. She held the lollipop that Huasiqian handed her and put it in her mouth, trying to calm herself down. At the same time, she was worried about Qin Shu and Lu Yen. Layla wouldn't let them go so easily, right? After all, they had played such a big game. Zhao Qingya died, and Zhao Qingya killed Mr. Y before she died. When Layla returned and saw this situation, wouldn't she be even angrier? Mian, what are you thinking about? So you seem to be in a good mood. He looked down at Huamin, who seemed to have a lot on her mind. I'm fine. I'm just a little hungry. Then can I go and see the noodles? Suyu stood up and walked towards the wooden shop assistant. Are the noodles ready? Suyu asked. I think they're ready. Ever since Huasiqian pointed a gun at his head, the shop assistant seemed to be extremely scared and spoke timidly. Suyu picked a braised pork bowl and placed it in front of Huamin. You're pregnant. Don't eat spicy food. Try it. Okay. After that, Suyu took his and Huasiqian's, and the three of them sat together. Smelling the aroma of the instant noodles, there was actually a trace of happiness. Indeed, when a person was hungry, anything tasted good. In any case, these people were big shots who had seen great storms and waves. Even if they didn't squander money like it was water, they were close to it. People who had eaten enough seafood and were tired of it never thought that one day they would gather together and wait for instant noodles with great anticipation. Before they started eating, Huamin took out the poison testing utensils again and tested them one by one. He found that they had not been tampered with. Only then did she feel at ease and let everyone eat together. The entire process of eating noodles was very quiet. Nothing happened. Huamin felt even more uneasy. She observed her surroundings as she ate, but there was no one suspicious. But it was precisely because of this that it was even more strange. Why was it that there weren't even any birds in the deep mountains and forests? It was so quiet that it was terrifying. It was just like an American movie she had seen before, Silent Hill. It was that eerie feeling when the female lead first entered the small town. However, she didn't say what she was thinking because she didn't want to affect Suyu and Huasiqian's moods. After the three of them finished eating, Suyu rubbed his round belly in satisfaction. The satisfaction of a bowl of instant noodles had completely surpassed all the delicious food he had eaten in the past. We'll take some and put it in the car later. If we're hungry, we can eat it, Suyu said reluctantly. There's no way to boil water in the car. You should just pick something that can be eaten immediately. Take some water, Huasiqian said. Then, the two men each took a bag of food and went to the place where the food was placed. They began to sweep through the food. When the three of them walked out and were almost in front of the car, Huamin heard a weak voice. Her heart instantly turned cold. "Wait!" she shouted, scaring Huasiqian and Suyu. "What's wrong?" Suyu didn't know what to do with Hua Min's sudden outburst. Chapter 4076. Did you hear something? No. Suyu was dumbfounded. What's that sound? Huasiqian turned around and looked at Huamin. No, don't go over yet. Huamin was extremely flustered. She tried her best to close her eyes and calm herself down. She could still hear that beeping sound. It sounded as if, and the sound was getting louder and louder. Oh no, run. As Huamin spoke, she pulled Huasiqian and Suyu back. The two men cooperated and retreated. 5 seconds later, there was a loud rumbling sound, and the off-road vehicle they were driving was blown to pieces in an instant. How is this possible? Suyu was stunned. Huasiqian reacted quickly and immediately pulled out his gun and pointed it at the male employee behind him. However, the moment he turned around, he was dumbfounded. How? Is this still a person? I don't know when, but many people appeared. There are about 20 of them, and they all have submachine guns in their hands. The strangest thing was that these people all looked exactly the same. Yes, there were more than 20 of the wooden male employee they saw earlier. It was as if they had duplicated him. So he was also in disbelief. If there were 2 or 3 of them, it would be fine if they looked the same. They could also be twins or triplets. But now, Huamin immediately understood what was going on. She bit her lip and said in a low voice, "It's her. She's here." "Who?" Suyu didn't react. "Layla. She's here." Huasiqian instantly understood Hua Min's reaction. Now that he thought about it, they might have already fallen into a trap when they first entered the service area. When the employee refueled their car, he had already planted a custom-made bomb. If Hua Min hadn't reacted quickly enough, the 3 of them would have been blown to pieces. Layla's methods were always so cruel and unexpected. Layla hadn't appeared yet, but Huamin knew that they couldn't escape. If they were caught again, they might never have a chance to make a comeback. Therefore, before Layla appeared, she went to Suyu and Huasiqian. "In a while, I'll think of a way to lure them away. You two find an opportunity to run. Don't worry about me. You're doing it again." Suyu especially didn't like hearing Huamin say such things. Huasiqian didn't say anything. "Suyu, listen to me. They want to catch me. Even if they catch me, they won't kill me because I'm still useful. These people are probably here for my dad. Yen and I are their real targets, so they won't pay attention to you two. In a while, I'll find an opportunity to lure them away. And then you run as far as you can. I want to know what method you have to lure those 20 people away." Huasiqian obviously didn't believe Huamin. I have my way." Huamin was a little guilty. "What way?" Huasiqian was aggressive. "I have a drug I made myself. It will make them all faint. In that case, take it out now and drug them. We'll leave together." Huasiqian immediately found a bug. "Not now. I have to wait for Layla to appear so we can drug them together," Huamin emphasized. "Where's the drug? Give it to me. I'll help you." Huasiqian reached out his hand. "You don't know how to use it. I'll do it." Feeling guilty, Huamin turned his head and rejected Huasiqian. Just then, a woman wearing a golden mask appeared behind those people. "Guys, did you have enough to eat? Are you happy?" Under Layla's mask, there was a smile on her face. Chapter 4077. Huamin took a step forward with his big belly. However, Huasiqian pressed down on his shoulder. "What are you doing?" "Nothing, I won't go over." "Don't worry." Huamin smiled at Huasiqian and pried his hand away. She looked at Layla and said calmly, "Layla, the person you're looking for is me, so don't make things difficult for my friends. I'll go with you. Let's Suyu and Huasiqian go, okay?" "Ha." Layla chuckled softly. She didn't immediately answer Huamin. Instead, she looked at Huasiqian. "If she didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Your acting skills are really good. You actually pretended to be Jack for so long by my side." Huasiqian didn't say anything, but he felt uncomfortable when he saw Layla smile. The worst thing is that you actually imitated Jack in bed. It's been hard on you. I have to say, whether it's you or the real Jack, I'm very satisfied with your skills in bed. For Layla to say such explicit words in front of so many people, it was really shocking. Huamin and Suyu looked at Huasiqian at the same time. He didn't feel awkward or troubled. After all, he had been by Layla's side for so long, and he knew very well what kind of person she was. Qianqian, come back with me. I'll forgive you this time. Layla seemed to like Huasiqian. I'll go back with you. Sure, but you have to let go of Sister Mian, Huasiqian said arrogantly. Oh my God, my pet is negotiating with me. Layla kept calling him a pet, which made Huasiqian hate her to the core. He had spent the first half of his life playing with women. Now that he was being played by a woman, he was extremely annoyed. Did I hear you right? Qianqian, why are you still so infatuated? Did Huamin treat you well? She sent you to prison with her own hands. She destroyed the island that you spent years building and destroyed your best dreams. In the end, she even wanted to kill you. I saved you and gave you a second chance at life. As your master, shouldn't you be loyal to me for the rest of your life? Stop fooling around. How could I possibly be loyal to a demon? Huasiqian laughed sarcastically. Devil? Ha! Don't slander them. I'm not as kind as a demon. Layla laughed arrogantly. Layla, don't make things difficult for me, on. I'll do anything you want me to do. I'm willing to be your servant for the rest of my life. I'll go back with you. I'll help you kill people and set fires. I'm even willing to die for you, as long as you let her go. Huasiqian really wanted to protect Huamin. This desire to protect her had been growing since they were children. It had never changed. Now that Huamin was pregnant and about to give birth, he was facing such a crisis. His anxiety and worry were no less than Qin Chu and Su Yu's. Who do you think you are? How dare you negotiate such a ridiculous condition with me? Then don't blame me for being rude. Then, without any warning, Huasiqian raised his gun and fired. He aimed at Layla's head. Yes, it was very accurate. Huasiqian's marksmanship had always been very accurate. However, he knew that there was almost nothing he could do. He could only give it a try, hoping for a fluke. Sure enough, Layla reacted quickly. She instantly grabbed someone beside her and blocked the bullet for her. TSK, TSK. You actually dared to shoot me. It seems your sister is indeed your sweetheart. Suyu, drag Huasiqian back. I plan to use poison on Layla, Huamin whispered into Suyu's ear. Before Suyu could speak, Huamin pushed Suyu and Huasiqian away. You two step back. No matter what happens, don't worry about me. With that, Huamin strode towards Layla. Mian, Suyu and Huasiqian exclaimed at the same time. Chapter 4078. Perhaps it was because Huamin was pregnant and too heavy, but before she could take a few steps, Huasiqian caught up with her and hugged her. Suyu and Huasiqian rushed up to stop Huamin almost at the same time. But Suyu was a step slower, and Huasiqian was faster. He hugged Huamin from behind without any warning. In Huasiqian's heart, Huamin was neither a goddess nor an idol. She had always been the little girl who brought him sunshine. She was the little girl who could warm his heart, so he could never bear to violate her. Even on that deserted island where they were alone, he treated Huamin with all the warmth he had in his life. Huasiqian could do 10,000 bad things to others, but to Huamin, he felt that he had to control his voice well so that he wouldn't scare his sister. So this time, hugging Huamin so close, Huasiqian felt a sense of happiness that he had never felt before. Huasiqian, what are you doing? Let go of me. Huamin struggled violently. She had already made up her mind, so she didn't want to change it just because Huasiqian stopped her. In fact, the moment Layla appeared, Huamin had already given up hope. She wasn't sure if Lu Yin and Qin Chu were still alive. However, she knew that the three of them were doomed this time. With Layla's temper, if she captured them, she might not die, but Suyu and Huasiqian would probably die. So she had to fight. She didn't want to be a burden that everyone sacrificed to protect her. However, he did not expect Huasiqian to react so quickly. Little sister Mian, I know what you want. No, you don't know anything. Don't pretend to be smart. Let me go. I don't want us to die here. Huamin's voice was very low. She said this only to Hua Xiqian, as if she didn't want anyone else to hear these words. I know. Give it to me. Hua Xiqian whispered into Huamin's ear. From an outsider's perspective, Hua Xiqian was kissing Huamin's cheek. Actually, that wasn't the case. He just wanted to tell her that. Huamin was slightly shocked. She didn't know when she had exposed herself and how Hua Xiqian had discovered her little secret. It's too late. Mian, give it to me. I'll do it. No. Huamin admitted that she hated Hua Xiqian, but not to this extent. So, she didn't want to give it to him. She refused. Mian, do you want all of us to die here? Think about the baby in your belly. Don't be so selfish. Huamin was a little conflicted and choked up. Be good. Give it to me. I'll go find Layla. Huamin didn't have time to think. Hua Xiqian was right. If he delayed any longer, the three of them might die here. He might as well give it to Hua Xiqian. Huamin was very fast. Behind her back, she stuffed something very small into Hua Xiqian's hand. After Hua Xiqian took it, he hid it in his sleeve and let go of Huamin. However, the moment he let go of Huamin, he greedily kissed her forehead. That kiss contained all the gentleness of his life. Sister Mian, I don't regret loving you. If I had another chance, I would still choose this life. These were the last words Hua Xiqian said to Huamin. They were also the last words of his life. Then, Hua Xiqian pushed Huamin away. So you caught Huamin from behind. She almost fell to the ground. It was obvious how much strength Hua Xiqian used. Hua Xiqian, are you fucking crazy? Suyu cursed with great dissatisfaction. He didn't know what happened or what Hua Xiqian and Huamin said. Chapter 4079. After being helped up by Suyu, Huamin couldn't speak and just kept crying. Mian, what's wrong? Is your stomach uncomfortable? What does it hurt? Suyu was scared out of his wits, and his expression changed drastically. Huamin shook his head and cried, refusing to speak. She kept staring in the direction Hua Xiqian left. In fact, he was quite far away from Layla. Hua Xiqian walked over step by step. TSK. I didn't expect you to be so good to Huamin. Even in the end, you had to put on a scene of life and death. Amazing. Best actor Hua, I'm cheering for you. Layla admired Hua Xiqian very much. Or rather, Layla liked Hua Xiqian more than Jack, especially when she saw such a sentimental Hua Xiqian. Hua Xiqian walked up to Layla calmly and looked at the arrogant woman wearing a golden mask. He knelt down silently on one knee and reached out his right hand to his chest. Like a knight to a princess, young madam, I was wrong. I admit it's my fault. I'll go back with you. But please let Mian go, okay? Huamin is so important to you. Is he more important than your life? Yes. Then do you think it's worth it for you to do all this for her? Even if you die for her, so what? This woman is so heartless that she won't remember you. She'll only act coquettishly with her husband, Qin Chu, and act cute with her boyfriend, Suyu. She's a typical bitch. It's not worth it for you. No matter what, this is my choice. Please fulfill it, young madam. Hua Xiqian was such an arrogant person, but for Huamin, he was willing to kneel down to Layla and obediently submit to her. It really did satisfy Layla's vanity and possessiveness. However, but my target has always been her, not you. So what should I do? Even if you commit suicide in front of me, I might not let your little sister Mian go. Layla smiled evilly. Hua Xiqian felt disgusted by the face under the mask. If that's the case, then I can only perish together with you. After Hua Xiqian finished speaking, he stood up slowly. In an instant, he crushed the small, white ball-shaped, mysterious item that Huamin had given him. Then, in an instant, it was an earth-shattering explosion. Suyu dragged Huamin and retreated. Sensing that something was wrong, he saw Hua Xiqian stand up. He subconsciously dragged Huamin and retreated. However, the power of this explosive was too great, even though it was far enough away. Even though they were far away, Huamin and Suyu were still sent flying. Moreover, the terrifying thing about this explosive was that after it exploded once, it would explode a second time. Therefore, the moment Hua Xiqian crushed the explosive, he was destined to die. Hua Xiqian, no! Hua Min screamed at the top of her lungs. She was the one who developed the explosive, so she knew how powerful it was. Therefore, at that moment, she suddenly regretted it and hated herself. Why did she develop such a perverted explosive? Hua Xiqian crushed the thing with his own hands and was instantly blown to pieces. Of course, Layla, who was so close to him, she and her subordinates wouldn't be able to escape. In addition, there was a gas station nearby. This explosion was earth-shattering, and the deafening sound echoed in the depths of the mountains for a long time. This was also the biggest explosion at the border in years, so you only remembered tightly protecting Hua Min as he heard the earth-shattering explosion. His vision turned black, and in the end he lost consciousness. Chapter 4080. So you didn't know how much time had passed, but he seemed to have a very long dream. Miraculously, he dreamed that he and Hua Min were married, and Qin Shu was no longer in this world. There was only him and Hua Min. He dreamed that he returned to the mansion after work and saw Hua Min cooking in the kitchen. She was wearing an apron and looked like a housewife. "Honey, you're back." "Mian." So he was shocked. "Dummy, go wash your hands. I made your favorite boiled fish today. It's very spicy and delicious." Hua Min pushed him directly to the sink and turned on the tap numbly. Listening to the sound of running water, he felt like he was in a trance. "Honey, Mom asked us to come home for dinner tomorrow night. Grandpa is back from Jing City and misses us." Hua Min kept talking to her, calling her honey. Suyu felt that this was unbelievable. "Mian, what's wrong?" "Honey, Suyu pointed at Hua Min and then at himself, dumbfounded. "Honey, you're acting weird today. Did something happen at the company that made you unhappy?" Hua Min walked over. She leaned tightly against Suyu's chest, and the warmth of her body was so real. "No. Mian, I want to ask, are we married?" "Haha. Honey, are you stupid? We've been married for more than half a year." "What? You're not going back on your word to marry me because you have another woman, are you?" Hua Min pouted. No, I would never do that. I know you wouldn't. After all, if you dared to divorce me, not only would you have to give me half of your assets, but Mom, Dad, and Grandpa would also beat you up." Hua Min smiled happily. Her eyes formed a small moon, which made Su Yu's heart ripple. "Mian, I might have had a dream. I dreamed that you and I were just good friends. We were good friends for life. You married someone else. Your husband is Qin Shu, and you gave birth to twins. Pudding and Little Bean." Suyu rambled on. Hubby, you have such a rich imagination. How is that possible? I met you right after I graduated from university and started working. You've been chasing after me ever since, and I married you in less than half a year. Our wedding even made the headlines. Now that we've been married for half a year, I feel very happy. Everyone in the hospital is jealous that I have a good husband." "At the hospital? Mian, are you still working at Southside?" "What's Southside? I'm at the first hospital. I'm a gynecologist." "Honey, you're acting weird today. What's wrong?" Hua Min walked over, puzzled. He touched Suyu's head and muttered to himself, "You don't have a fever. What's going on?" Suyu held Hua Min's hand. "Mian, am I really not dreaming? Have we been married for half a year? Why don't you try and slap yourself?" Hua Min said as he laughed to himself. Suyu froze then. The scene changed. He saw Hua Min slowly fall to the ground in front of him. Mian, he saw a lot of blood coming out of her lower body. It was so much blood that Suyu was scared out of his wits. "Suyu, I don't think I can make it," Hua Min said weakly. "You have to hold on. Mian, you'll be fine. Pudding and Little Bean are still waiting for Mommy to come home." Suyu cried as he saw Hua Min in his arms and slowly closed his eyes. "Mian, no." Suyu yelled as he woke up from his dream. Then he was dumbfounded. What was this place? Where was he? Chapter 4081. When Suyu woke up, he felt a splitting headache. "Doctor, come quickly. My son is awake. My son is awake." Lady Su hurriedly got up and opened the door. The doctor and nurse immediately ran into the room. Then, they gave Suyu a full-body checkup. Lady Su, congratulations. Young Master Su is fine now. He just has a slight concussion. After 2 more days of observation, he can be discharged. Okay, thank you, doctor. After the doctor and nurse left, Lady Su reached out and held her son's hand tightly. You look at mommy, look at mommy. Mrs. Su's tears streamed down her face. Mom, why are you here? Where's this place? Suyu finally came back to his senses. He looked at the unfamiliar room with confusion in his eyes. Silly child, of course this is the hospital. You've been unconscious for 3 days. You scare me to death. Lady Su still had lingering fears. When she saw her son being carried back, she almost fainted. Suyu was covered in blood. She thought that her son was beyond saving. Unexpectedly, Suyu only suffered some minor injuries. For some reason, he was unconscious for 3 days before waking up. Unconscious for 3 days? Suyu was stunned. Lady Su nodded with tears in her eyes. Which hospital is this? It's the best private hospital in Yunnan. It belongs to the army. Your grandfather arranged for it. Don't worry. Lady Su held her son's hand and comforted him. What happened to the hospital in Yunnan? Oh my God, son. Did you lose your memory? Lady Su asked quickly when she saw that Suyu's mood was a little off. Suyu let go of his mother's hand and tried hard to remember. He remembered that he was kidnapped. Then he saw Zhao Qingya. Then he saw Huamin come here. Then he saw Hua Xiqian. And then the explosion. Scenes flashed through Hua Xiqian's mind like a movie. His heart was beating faster and faster. Finally, when he recalled the big explosion, his heart almost couldn't take it anymore. Mom, Mom! He panted as he called out to his mother. Son, I'm here. Lady Su quickly got up and gently patted her son's back. Explosion. I remember now, it was a big explosion. Mom, where's Mion? Where's Mion? Hearing Suyu's question, Lady Su's eyes suddenly flashed with something, as if there was something hidden. You don't get too worked up. Listen to me. Your priority now is to take care of your body. The doctor said that you have a concussion and are emotionally unstable. He wants you to get some rest first. We'll talk about the rest after you leave the hospital. No, you have to tell me now. Mom, I want to see Mion. I want to see her. As he spoke, Suyu was so agitated that he roughly removed the 4 drip from his body and wanted to get off the bed. However, as soon as his feet touched the ground, he fell down with a thud. He had been lying down for too long and felt weak all over. Son, are you hurt? You can't get out of bed yet. Don't scare me. Lady Su quickly helped her son up. However, Suyu shook her off. Mom, don't stop me. I'm going to see Mion. Son, why are you so stubborn? You won't listen to me. Can you take care of yourself first? Lady Su cried, heartbroken that her son was torturing himself like this. Mom, tell me the truth. Did something happen to Mion? Huh? Is she dead? Suyu remembered seeing Huamin covered in blood in his arms in his dream. At this moment, he felt like he was going crazy. Moreover, from his mother's secretive eyes, he could tell that it wasn't good news waiting for him. Chapter 4082. Sure enough, Lady Su's expression changed when she heard Suyu ask about Huamin. You listen to Mom first. Hi, Mom, don't brush me off. I want the truth. Where's Mion? Tell me. Tell me. He didn't even use the word you. Instead, he shouted at his mother. Suyu had never been so rude since he was a child. It wasn't because he was unfilial. It was because he couldn't bear any bad news about Huamin. Suyu only had one thought in his mind. As long as Huamin died, he wouldn't live either. Mom, I'm begging you, don't hide it from me. My heart hurts so much. Tell me, I saw blood all over Mion's body in my dream. What happened to her? Where is she? Why isn't she with me? Where is she? Where is Mion? Suyu's voice was hoarse. Every word was weak and even choked with sobs. It was heart-wrenching to hear. You calm down. Go to bed first. I'll tell you slowly. Tell me now. Suyu was extremely domineering. Suyu didn't give his mother time to breathe. He wanted to know about Huamin immediately. Otherwise, he would go completely crazy. Seeing that she couldn't persuade her son, Lady Su could only sigh slightly. Mian isn't dead. Don't make wild guesses. Mian isn't dead. Then where is she? Why didn't she come to see me? She was injured in the explosion. She's in the ward upstairs. I wanted to wait for you to recover before going to see her. I didn't expect you to be in such a hurry. Is Mian disabled? So you asked in fear. No, Mian isn't disabled. She's very healthy. She just had a serious concussion because of the explosion. Is she fine? So you obviously didn't believe it. Even now, when he recalled that explosion, he was still shaken to the core. So you could only remember the final scene of thick smoke billowing out, followed by a deafening explosion. After hearing Su Yu's words, Lady Su was silent for 5 seconds. Finally, he said with difficulty, Mian, she's pregnant. What? At that moment, Su Yu felt his heart skip a beat. He thought he had misheard. Then, Lady Su couldn't bear the torment in her heart. Just repeat it again and make it clear. Mian's baby is gone. The explosion alerted the police who were patrolling the area. The ambulance sent you to the hospital. In order to save Mian's life, the doctor performed an induced labor. The baby is dead. After Su Yu heard this, he could not say a word. His lips were pale, and he couldn't stop trembling. No, that's impossible. How could that be? Mom, you must be lying to me. Mian's baby is almost full term. She's about to give birth. How could she be dead? You must be lying to me. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Ew. It's true. We didn't expect things to turn out like this. It's already a blessing that you're alive. Those terrorists are all dead. At the scene of the explosion, other than the 2 of you who miraculously survived, everyone else was blown to pieces. It's too scary. I thought I was going to lose you forever. After Lady Su said this, she leaned over Su Yu's shoulder and sobbed softly. It could be seen that she had also suffered a lot in her heart. At this moment, there was only one thought in Su Yu's mind. Huan Mian's baby, which was about to be born, was gone just like that. Where's Qin Chu? Su Yu closed his eyes in pain and asked his mother. Chapter 4083. Qin Chu is already here. He's been accompanying Mian in the ward. I'll go see her. Su Yu tried his best to stand up, but he couldn't move. Mian isn't in a good mental state right now. She just lost her child and she's sad. Can you wait until she's better? No, I won't go now. Su Yu insisted. In the end, Lady Su had no choice but to agree to her son's request. However, Su Yu was tall, and she couldn't help him. Lady Su opened the door and called 2 bodyguards in. Then, the 2 bodyguards helped Su Yu upstairs. On the way, Su Yu had already guessed what was going on. At first, Huamin wanted to detonate the bomb himself and let him and Hua Xiqian leave. However, for some reason, Hua Xiqian seemed to have seen through Huamin's intentions. Therefore, at the critical moment, he rushed up and hugged Mian from behind. Then, they exchanged a few words. It was unknown when they exchanged the miniature bomb. Then, Hua Xiqian pretended to surrender to Layla and moved closer to her. Then, he found an opportunity to detonate the bomb. The scene was a mess. From what her mother said just now, it was confirmed that other than her and Huamin, no one else survived. Did that mean that Hua Xiqian succeeded? He was dead, and so was Layla. The people Layla had brought with her, including the inarticulate waiter in the service area, were almost completely annihilated. However, when he thought about how Huamin's child was gone, Su Yu hated himself. He wondered why he wasn't the one in trouble. Huamin came to save him. Now that he was in this state, how could he face her? Face Qin Chu? It was only a short 200 meters along the way, but Su Yu felt that it was 10,000 kilometers long. He was conflicted. Finally, I arrived at the door of the ward. Young master, we're here. Should we go in now? The 2 bodyguards whispered. Su Yu stood at the door, not daring to go in. At this time, he was struggling in his heart. He wanted to see Huamin immediately, but he was also afraid to see Huamin. After all, this kind of result was unexpected. Why don't we come back tomorrow? Lady Su's heart ached for her son. She was afraid that her son would not be able to take the shock after waking up. She was afraid that Su Yu would cry when he saw Huamin, so she wanted to coax him to go down first. There's no need for that. I'll have to face it sooner or later. After saying that, Suyu seemed to have made up his mind. Then he said to the bodyguards expressionlessly, "You guys, help me in." When Suyu entered, Huamin was already asleep. Chu looked at her silently from the bedside. Seeing Suyu enter, Chu turned around, but there was still no emotion in his eyes. "You're awake?" Chu took the initiative to speak first. Suyu nodded. Then, Suyu glanced at Huamin, who was lying weakly on the hospital bed, and felt extremely sad. "Chu, is Mian awake?" "She hasn't woken up yet. She's been like this since the surgery. However, the doctor said that she's fine. She just had a concussion and a strong impact on her brain. But she's been unconscious for 3 days. I think she'll wake up soon." Chu, the child in Mian's stomach. Suyu's eyes were filled with tears. "The child is gone." Chu paused twice when he said those 5 words. It seemed like he had used up all his strength to say them. Chapter 4084. When Chu arrived, he made his choice. When a chief surgeon asked him if he wanted to save the mother or the child, Chu's heart was about to break. However, he immediately answered that he wanted to save the mother, even though he loved their child very much. Later, after the abortion, the doctors carried out a child covered in blood. Chu glanced at it. The doctor also told him that it was a boy who was about to reach full term. If there were no accidents, the child would survive. However, because of the big explosion, Huamin's lower body was bleeding profusely. That was why this accident happened. Chu cried outside the operating room for an hour. He cried silently for the child who didn't have the chance to call them parents. "Chu, I'm so sorry." Suyu felt extremely guilty. He really felt like dying. Right now, he envied Huasiqian the most. After the explosion, he sacrificed himself, and from then on, he and Huamin were even. However, he carried such a heavy debt. How could he pay it back? It's not your fault. It's all fate. Plus, those people weren't after you. Don't be sad. Take care of yourself. Chu was very cultured. He was rational and calm and knew that this wasn't Suyu's fault. After all, those people behind the scenes weren't after Suyu. Suyu was just a scapegoat. "Actually, if it weren't for Huasiqian, Mian and I might have died long ago," Suyu said. "I did find Huasiqian's DNA among the body fragments at the scene. I was going to ask you when you woke up. Huasiqian betrayed that woman and made her think that he was Jack. At the critical moment, he betrayed her and escaped with Mian and me. On the way out, we were ambushed by those people. Mian brought explosives and wanted to die together with them. Huasiqian stole Mian's explosives and saved us. That's probably what happened." So you carefully recalled what happened that day. "Okay, I got it. Go back and rest first. We'll talk about the rest later." Chu, so you still wanted to say something. After all, he was extremely guilty. Huamin's son, who had been pregnant for 10 months, was Chu's second child. It was gone. It took half of Huamin's life. If she woke up and found out that the child was gone, she would probably be devastated. Suyu didn't dare to think about it, but seeing that Huamian hadn't woken up yet, he didn't want to stay any longer. Therefore, he was helped back to his ward by the bodyguards. After Chu defeated the big guy, he was placed in the bamboo building. However, the bamboo building was already empty. Other than Mr. Y, who was poisoned to death by Zhao Qingya, there was no one else. Chu felt like he was being controlled by his opponent and felt extremely uncomfortable. Therefore, as he chased after them, he heard from the Su family that there was an explosion. Suyu and Huamin were arranged to be treated at the military hospital. Chu rushed to the military hospital. Then, he experienced the pain of losing his child. Looking at Huamin, who was still unconscious, Chu was in so much pain that he wanted to die. After Suyu left, another person came to look for Chu. Chu was surprised to see him. That person was wearing a navy blue Russian military uniform. He had short silver hair and black high-top military boots. More than a dozen of his subordinates were waiting outside the hospital. After all, They were entering a district hospital, and it wasn't good to make such a big fuss. Brother-in-law. Xiao Fei, why are you here? Qin Chu was surprised to see Xiao Fei. Chapter 4085. Uncle Lu called me. Then Xiao Fei told Qin Chu the whole story. Only then did Qin Chu realize the seriousness of the situation. If what you said is true, then we're in big trouble. Brother-in-law, where's Yen? Qin Chu, brother-in-law. Seeing Qin Chu's silence, Xiao Fei had a bad feeling. To be honest, I don't know where Yen is. Of course not. Uncle Lu said you came here together to save Sister Mian. I looked for her for a long time, but couldn't find her. I followed the coordinates and searched along the road. Then I heard there was a big explosion nearby, and thought it had something to do with it. So I came to take a look and saw you here. Qin Chu raised his head, and there was a hint of uneasiness in his calm eyes. Yin did come with me, but we split up. She gave me some of her subordinates and brought some of her own, so she should still be in the primeval forest. I've sent people to look for her, but they couldn't find her. More importantly, according to the time, Su Yu said, Su Yu and Mian saw the woman in the mask. She's probably the culprit. Since she can appear in front of Su Yu, does it mean Yin failed? Impossible. As far as I know, only a few people in the world could defeat Yin. She can't have failed. Qin Chu's speculation was denied by Xiao Fei as soon as he spoke. Is there any other way to contact her? Qin Chu asked. I called Uncle Lu. He used to be able to locate Xiaoyan's GPS, but there seems to be a problem with the signal. He can't locate her anymore. That's why I'm here to ask you about the last time you saw her. Give me the map, and I'll look for her again. Maybe she's injured and lost her way. Okay, wait a moment. I'll draw you the map. Qin Chu thought Xiao Fei's words made sense, so he took out the map immediately. He marked the place where he parted from Lu Yin and the route Lu Yin took. Xiao Fei took the blueprint and left the military hospital. Brother-in-law, I'll go look for him. Okay, be careful. If you have any news, remember to tell me. All right. Xiao Fei left, but Qin Chu's heart did not calm down. He had a feeling that Lu Yin was more than just lost and injured. With Lu Yan's personality, she wouldn't be so calm if she didn't hear about the explosion and her sister's coma. Even if they wanted to catch a plane, they would have to come here, right? There is another feeling that Qin Chu also felt was very strange. The big boss that everyone was talking about, the person that even the professor had to be wary of. How could he have been killed by Huasiqian's explosion so easily? Was it really that easy? Qin Chu looked at the unconscious Huamin and was still worried. And at this very moment, on the other side of the earth, Huamin woke up from the excruciating pain all over her body. All she saw was white. She didn't see anything until her vision recovered. She seemed to be in a room full of white. Miss Mian, you're finally awake. Hearing someone talking to her, Huamin turned her head to look. She saw a middle-aged woman dressed like a gypsy standing by her bed. He looked very much like an Indian, with big eyes and a little exotic, but he spoke standard Chinese. Who are you? Where's this place? Huamin felt like she was still in a dream. Chapter 4086. Miss Mian, don't be afraid. This is your home. Rest assured and recover. The maid's face was full of love as she reached out to cover Huamin with a blanket. However, Huamin blocked her with one hand. This isn't my home. I'm leaving. Although Huamin had just woken up, she hadn't lost her memory. Her mind was still very clear. She still remembered the last scene. Huasiqian had snatched her explosives and perished together with Layla. The explosion was deafening. Huamin's eyes widened. She even felt like she could see Huasiqian's body being blown up. At the thought of this, tears flowed out unconsciously. She wasn't dreaming. She knew that Huasiqian was dead. He was dead. He had to be dead. What about Su Yu? Where was Su Yu, who had experienced the explosion with her? Huamin felt that she had a lot of things to do, so she wasn't in the mood to recuperate on the hospital bed. She pushed Messiah's hand away and was about to get off the bed. However, she felt that she had no strength at all. Miss Mian, your body is still very weak. For the sake of the child, You have to take good care of your body. You know, when we first rescued you, you almost had a miscarriage. The child was about to be lost. Hearing Messiah's words, Huamin quickly looked down at her stomach. Fortunately, the child was still there, and she didn't feel anything wrong with her body. Our master personally performed the surgery to protect the baby. Fortunately, the baby is fine. Don't worry. Who is your master? Huamin grasped the key point, because he had always heard that those people called Layla young mistress. Could this young mistress be related to Layla? The maid didn't say anything. After a moment of silence, she slowly replied, "Rest well first. Don't worry. I'll tell you everything later. I can't rest here. My friend's life is still unknown. I have to find him." The friend Huamin was talking about was Suyu. Her last scene was with Suyu. Could it be that Suyu was also killed by the explosion? You can't go find him. Obviously, Messiah knew what Huamin was talking about. Why? Huamin looked up at the unfamiliar maid. Her face was pale, probably because she had been lying down for too long. Messiah was silent. Is he dead? Huamian was on the verge of tears. No, he's not dead. Then why can't I go find him? Huamian continued to ask. Because you're on the other side of the earth. Where's this place? Only then did Huamian realize that she was no longer in that remote primitive forest. It's a place you've never been to. You're the people behind Layla. Huamin instantly understood something. Her pupils constricted. She stared at Messiah and felt cold all over. Miss Mian, you haven't fully recovered. You should sleep for a while. I'm not sleeping. Who are you? You. Before Huamin could finish, the maid waved her hand gently and turned around in front of Huamin. Huamin felt her vision go dark, and she fell asleep. Then, Messiah carefully covered Huamin with a blanket and slowly left the strange room. Inside the magnificent hall, she's awake. Linya, who was wearing a crystal mask and a gorgeous gown, looked like a high and mighty queen. In her hand was a colorful macaw. The macaw stood obediently in her palm, not daring to move, as if it was afraid of her. Chapter 4087. Yes, master. Miss Mian has woken up, but she's a bit agitated, so I let her sleep for a while longer. I checked her body data and found she's anemic and weak. She needs more sleep to recover her strength, the maid explained patiently. Did she say anything? She said she was looking for her friend. Huh, she's a fool. How could she believe in something as boring as a friend? Maybe it's the boy who was with her in Miss Layla's hands. The boy seems to be very nice to Miss Mian. What's the use of being nice to her? These men are temporary and have ulterior motives. She's still young and can't see through them. Yes, master. Miss Mian may not be able to get used to this immediately. We need to give her some time. How's her baby? I did a heartbeat test on her. The baby's heartbeat is strong, and he's fine now. Master, you're like a living Hua Ta. Linya chuckled. Take good care of them. They won't be able to hold on much longer. The baby will be born soon. Yes, I'll take good care of Miss Mian. Where's the girl? Messiah knew her master was asking about the other one. The other one was severely injured by Miss Layla. She has many broken bones and is still in a coma. Master, do you want to perform recovery surgery on her? Not now. Put her in the freezer. I'll tell you when I need her. Linya lowered her head and played with the bird while speaking. Yes, master. Then the maid left. Linya murmured to the parrot. Layla, that psychopathic girl. I wonder what new tricks she'll play this time. Let's wait and see. Then a creepy smile appeared on Linya's face. Xiao Fei and his men searched day and night. They searched the entire primitive forest, but found no trace of Lu Yan. They only found the bodies of Lu Yan's subordinates and a pile of fresh blood near a forest and a bamboo building. After collecting the DNA, Xiao Fei returned to the city quickly. He went to the DNA testing center with Qin Chu. When the results came out, Xiao Fei's face turned dark. President Qin, after repeated tests and comparisons, we found that these two are indeed from the same person. The doctor was holding a strand of hair and a blood test report. The hair was from Xiao Fei because he had a small pouch in his pocket that contained his and Lu Yan's hair. This saying came from an ancient custom in China, which was called husband and wife. The blood was taken from the primeval forest. After comparison, it was proven that it was Lu Yan's blood. At that moment, Xiao Fei almost broke down. Qin Shu's heart was also extremely heavy. Huamin was injured and had a miscarriage. Lu Yan's status was unknown. Suyu was in relatively good condition with a slight concussion. Hua Xiqian, on the other hand, had been blown to smithereens. The consequences of this were not something that an ordinary person could bear. Have you investigated it thoroughly? Qin Chu confirmed. Yes, we've checked thoroughly. All of our staff went out and compared the blood 3 times. It's indeed from one person. Judging from the degree of dryness of the blood, this person has been injured for at least 24 hours. If you still can't find him, I'm afraid there's not much hope for him to survive. Shut up. She won't die. This was the first time Qin Chu saw Xiao Fei lose control with his own eyes. Xiao Fei roared, scaring the staff into silence. That's all for you. Qin Chu waved his hand and sent them away. Xiao Fei's hand holding the blood test report trembled slightly. Brother-in-law, do you believe it? Yin, she's not dead. She won't die. Xiao Fei's voice was choked with sobs. Chapter 4088. Qin Chu was also upset when he heard this. He didn't expect things to end like this. Besides, Qin Chu blamed himself because he had set off with Lu Yan. He was fine, but Lu Yan, he felt sorry for Xiao Fei from the bottom of his heart. Fei, I didn't think this through. It's my fault. Don't say that. I know how good Xiao Yan is. Let me put it this way, brother-in-law. Even if there are 2 of you, you might not be able to defeat Xiao Yan. This time, you came back safe and sound, but Xiao Yan went missing. This only proves that she is the target, not you. So, don't blame yourself. Xiao Fei was a smart man and immediately analyzed the pros and cons of the situation. Even so, how could Qin Chu not blame himself? Lu Yan went missing, and he didn't know if she was alive or dead. Xiao Fei also said that he found a pool of blood. If she really bled like that, she would have been dead for more than 24 hours. If Huamin knew that something happened to Lu Yan, he wouldn't be able to take it. Brother-in-law, don't tell Sister Mian about this. If she asks, just say that Yin went missing. Don't make it too specific, Xiao Fei reminded him. I know. Qin Chu nodded with a heavy heart. Brother-in-law, I'll talk to Uncle Lu on the phone, and then I'll leave. Where are you going? Qin Chu asked him. To find Yin. As long as I don't see her body, I won't give up. I'll find her no matter where I go. Then, Xiao Fei tore the comparison report into pieces. Then, he turned around and left. Qin Chu didn't expect all of this. Although most people were still alive, the ending wasn't what he wanted. He also didn't expect Hua Xiqian to be the savior of this incident. Who would have thought that Hua Xiqian would suddenly change his personality from Jack to Hua Xiqian? Qin Chu took out a cigarette from his pocket, leaned against the corridor wall, and lit it up. At this moment, the pressure in his heart was unprecedentedly great. Compared to 4 years ago when he was plotted against by Hua Xiqian and didn't dare to go home, the pressure in his heart was even greater. What he was going to face now was the question of how he was going to explain to Huamin that she had a miscarriage after she woke up. That was a fresh little life, a child that was about to be born. She was the treasure of their hearts. In Suyu's ward. Ever since Suyu went upstairs and glanced at Huamin, he hadn't said a word since he came back. Lady Su's heart ached for her son. During this period, Lord Su and Mr. Su secretly flew over to visit him on a private plane. Seeing that Suyu was fine, the 2 of them quickly left. After all, their identities were sensitive, and they had to avoid arousing suspicion. Lady Su was left alone to take care of her son. You have to eat? Your body can't take it. Listen to Mommy and drink some millet congee, okay? Lady Su was patient and careful, just like how she coaxed her sick son when he was young. Mom, I'm really not hungry. Suyu's voice was extremely hoarse. It was obvious that he was very angry. You have to eat even if you're not hungry. Otherwise, your body will collapse. Mian won't want to see you like this when she wakes up, right? Mom, I don't have the face to see Mian. I'm afraid she won't forgive me. Suyu was extremely guilty. He lowered his head. For the past few days, whenever he closed his eyes, he would think of Hua Min's miscarriage. This incident had already dealt a heavy blow to Suyu's mental state. Mian isn't that kind of person, don't worry. It's precisely because I know that Mian isn't that kind of person that I'm even sadder. If she hits me or scolds me, I'll feel better. At this moment, the bodyguard suddenly knocked on the door and came in. Madam, Dr. Zhao asked me to tell you that Miss Hua woke up 5 minutes ago. Upon hearing that Hua Min was awake, Lady Su and Su Yu's expressions changed. Chapter 4089. When Hua Min woke up, Qin Shu was still boiling water. She had been taking care of Hua Min for the past few days and hadn't been able to eat or sleep well. She looked a lot more haggard. Qin Shu was going to boil some water to wipe Hua Min's face and feet. And it was at this moment that she woke up. Honey, her voice was very weak, and Qin Shu felt his body suddenly tremble. Then he quickly turned around and walked to the bedside. Seeing Hua Min wake up, he was very excited. Mian, he said gently. Honey, how long have I been asleep? 3 days. It's been so long my head is so dizzy. Don't move. Lie down. Qin Shu quickly covered her with a blanket. Honey, where's Suyu? He's fine. He's recovering in the ward downstairs. Where's Wasiqian? Hua Min looked at Qin Shu with sad eyes. Qin Shu's hand, which was covering the blanket, paused slightly and then fell silent. Honey, say something. Where's Wasiqian? Hua Min grabbed Qin Shu's arm weakly and kept asking about Wasiqian. He is dead, Qin Shu said slowly, hoping not to agitate Hua Min. He did that to save me. I should have been the one who died. Hua Mian's eyes were red, and she looked extremely sad. Mian, calm down. Don't cry. Please don't cry. Take care of yourself. Seeing Hua Min cry, Qin Shu was also very anxious. Even though he's done so many bad things, he's been protecting me all these years. Honey, I'm so sad. Wasiqian was blown to pieces just like that. Those people are all dead, right? Only Su Yu and I survive, right? Hua Min grabbed Qin Shu's hands emotionally. Her hands were bone-chillingly cold, even colder than Hua Min's body temperature. Qin Shu's heart ached, and he kept comforting Hua Min. Mian, calm down. You're not in good health. You need to take care of yourself. After Qin Shu said this, Hua Min realized something. She lowered her head and suddenly lifted the blanket. She looked at her flat belly, dumbfounded. Honey, where's my baby? Oh, where's the baby? She expressed her emotions well. Although her voice wasn't loud, it was obvious that she was on the verge of breaking down. Mian, Qin Shu choked on his sobs. He suddenly wanted to escape and didn't know how to tell her. Honey, where's the baby? Had it been born? Is it in the incubator? Take me to see it. Upon hearing Hua Min's words, Qin Shu felt even worse. The baby isn't in the incubator. Then where is it? He's gone, Qin Shu said with difficulty. What do you mean by gone? Hua Min stared at Qin Shu's face with wide eyes. The baby is gone, Mian. The baby is gone. The explosion injured you and Su Yu. The baby has no signs of life. When you were brought here that night, you had an emergency surgery. I don't believe you. Honey, you must be kidding me. Haha, I don't believe you. Hua Min cried and laughed at the same time. Her expression made one's heart ache for her. Mian, calm down. I know it's hard for you to accept this, but it's true. The baby is gone, but we'll have another in the future. We can always have another one, but I can't let you disappear and leave my side. As Qin Shu spoke, his tears fell uncontrollably onto his white wrist. Suddenly, the entire room was filled with sadness. Chapter 4090. Su Yu and Lady Su were originally at the door, intending to visit Hua Min. However, Hua Min's heart-wrenching cries came from a room. It made Su Yu and his mother forget what they were doing. Su Yu stood outside the door, his hands trembling. Lady Su felt terrible seeing her son like this. Su Yu didn't say anything, as if he was holding back his tears after some time. Huamin's cries seemed to have weakened. Suyu mustered up his courage and knocked on the door again. As soon as Suyu entered, he saw Qin Shu's red eyes. Huamin was leaning against the hospital bed, his face covered in tears, holding a tissue in his hand. "Auntie," Qin Shu greeted Lady Su. "We heard that Mian recovered, so we came to see her," Lady Su said gently. "You guys talk first, I'll talk to Mian's doctor." Qin Shu walked out with red eyes. Suyu walked to the bed with his mother's help. "Mian." He opened his mouth, but he suddenly didn't know what to say. Huamin looked at Suyu with lifeless eyes. "Suyu, my child is gone. He's angry and doesn't want to choose me as his mother." Upon hearing Huamin's words, Suyu and Lady Su immediately cried. "Mian, I'm sorry. It's all because of me. If it wasn't for saving me, wouldn't have. Mian, the Su family is sorry." Lady Su and her son also apologized to Huamin. "It's not your fault. It's all fate. It's all fate. Mian, you just had a miscarriage and are still in confinement. You can't cry. Don't hurt your body. Rest well. You'll have another child in the future," Lady Su comforted. "I won't have another child. I don't have the energy. Auntie, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Mian, I'm sorry. Don't apologize, Suyu. We don't need this. No matter what, I'm happy that I saved you." Upon hearing Huamin's words, Suyu felt even worse and wanted to say something. However, he saw Huamin lie down and cover his face with a quilt to keep him at bay. "Auntie, Suyu, you guys go back first. I'm a little tired. I'm going to sleep for a while. Mian, you don't take it to you to have Huaman. You to have Chu." Mian's Su was mean, was to Mian to mean, was to Mian to not to Mian to her to mean to Mian would. "I won't, Auntie Su. I want to live well. No matter how difficult it is, I want to live well." These words were indeed Huamin's style. Lady Su and Suyu were helpless. Seeing that Huamin didn't want to say anything more, they had no choice but to leave. Before they left, Lady Su told the bodyguards at the door to keep an eye on Huamin. If something was wrong, they were to call Qin Shu. She was afraid that she would take it too hard. However, she didn't. After Suyu and Lady Su left, Huamin lay quietly on the bed and didn't do anything. When there was no one else in the room, she covered herself with the quilt and seemed to be about to laugh out loud. "Ha ha! Are these people too gullible, or am I too good acting?" "Huamin, watch how I destroy the love, friendship, and family that you've worked so hard to build up over the years." Layla had an evil smile on her face. She didn't expect to succeed so easily. She did a big replacement. The explosives Huamin developed were indeed powerful, so the people she brought and Huasiqian were all killed. The moment the bomb detonated, Layla quickly dodged and wasn't hurt at all. Before Qin Shu arrived, she arranged a scene of a miscarriage. In order to make it look real, she even got a dead baby. Of course, she believed that Qin Shu wouldn't suspect her in such a sad situation. He wouldn't be so perverted as to do a DNA test on a dead baby. Therefore, she easily disguised herself as Huamin after the miscarriage, and no one noticed. Chapter 4091. Inside the doctor's office. "Dr. Zhao, how's my wife?" "President Qin, since you were sent here by the higher-ups, we didn't dare to neglect you. To be honest, your wife's condition isn't too serious. It's just that the labor was induced, so it's a little bad for her health. That's not the main thing. I'm worried that she won't be able to take it, so your entire family needs to undergo psychological counseling." "I know, but what about the child?" Qin Shu's expression was indescribably complicated, but he had to pretend to be calm. "The child is yours. If you want to deal with it yourself, find a cemetery and bury it. If you don't want to, our hospital can help you. Leave it to me. We'll deal with it ourselves." "Okay, President Qin, I think your wife can be discharged after resting for a few days. It's more convenient for you to transfer her to a local hospital to continue recuperating or find a private doctor at home. There's no need for her to continue staying here. After all, this is a foreign place, and she's unfamiliar with the people. It's not good for her recovery." "Okay." After talking to the doctor, Qin Shu returned to the ward. Huamin's eyes were red and swollen from crying. Honey, I want to be discharged. I want to go home. Okay, we'll leave tomorrow. I've already contacted a private plane to pick us up. Suyu is about to be discharged too, so we'll go back together. Honey, what about our child? Huamin asked with red eyes. I've already found someone to bury him here. We won't bring him back. Mom and Dad will be sad to see him. Okay. Huamin nodded. Then, she reached out and wanted to wrap her arms around Qin Shu's neck. However, Qin Shu got up to get her something to eat. She didn't manage to hug him. Mian, do you want porridge or warm milk? Warm milk. Okay. Qin Shu nodded and warmed the milk for Huamin with hot water. Honey, do you remember when we were in school, you were like this too? When my period came, you would buy me hot drinks and even skip class. Once, you were caught red-handed by the principal. I remember. Qin Shu lowered his head and only said 2 words. Actually, in retrospect, it was so good back then. It would be great if I never grew up, hubby. The happiest time of my life was probably when I was with you at Second High, eating Iaxine's ramen with you, and living a carefree life. Me too. Qin Shu said gently, turned around, and handed her a cup of hot milk. Huamin took it and looked at it hesitantly. Then he sipped it slowly. On the other hand, Xiao Fei wanted to call the professor, but he couldn't reach him. However, this was not surprising. The professor was always elusive, and people were used to it. Feeling depressed, Xiao Fei led his men to a random bar and sat down. Young master, what would you like to drink? Whatever. Xiao Fei was in a bad mood. Lu Yan had gone missing and left behind such a big pool of blood. To be honest, the situation wasn't optimistic. He wasn't sure if Lu Yan was still alive. The silver-haired handsome man attracted a lot of attention as soon as he entered. Regardless of whether they were men or women, there were many who came to strike up a conversation. However, they were all blocked by Xiao Fei's men. At this moment, a woman with long wavy hair walked over. Although she was blocked by Xiao Fei's men, she still smiled seductively. Handsome, buy me a drink. Get out. Won't you regret it if I get out? Are you looking for someone? The woman said with a smile. Xiao Fei immediately looked up, his eyes cold. Chapter 4092. What do you know? Xiao Fei stood up abruptly and walked toward the woman. Do you want to know more? Buy me a drink. The woman smiled seductively. Although Xiao Fei was disgusted by her vulgar appearance, he didn't want to let go of any information related to Yan. Finally, he allowed the woman to sit across from him. I want a royal salute. Obviously, the woman demanded an exorbitant price and ordered the most expensive drink. As long as you can give me the information I want, you can drink whatever you want. Really? Handsome, you must be rich. Waiter, give me 2 royal salutes. The woman was really impolite. Once she saw that she had met a rich man, she ordered 2 at once. She thought the young man in front of her might be a rich second-generation heir from another city. After all, his silver hair was a bit unconventional, and he was dressed formally, although he didn't have any branded clothes on him. However, he had more than a dozen people with him. They were obviously not to be trifled with. Xiao Fei didn't say anything. The woman was a good drinker and opened 2 bottles of wine. Then, she kept winking at Xiao Fei. Can you tell me now? Handsome, you're from another city, right? The woman asked him. Yes. No wonder I haven't seen you before. Are you looking for a girlfriend here? The woman asked with a glass of wine in her hand. Yes. Hee hee. You post-90s youngsters love to quarrel and give each other the cold shoulder. What's the point? You have me in your heart, and I have you in mine. Isn't it good to be together? Cut the crap. What do you know? Xiao Fei was getting impatient. Do you have a picture? Give it to me. I have a lot of connections in the area. If your girlfriend comes here, I'll be able to find her. The woman said confidently. Xiao Fei hesitated for a moment, but still pulled out Lu Yan's picture. It was a picture of life, a very rare picture of life. In the photo, Lu Yan was wearing a simple white dress with red polka dots and a bow on her waist. She looked like a young girl in the photo. It was bought by Huamin for Lu Yan. She had never worn that style of dress before because she thought it was stupid. But later, when she missed her sister, she would wear it. She dressed herself up like an ordinary girl. Xiao Fei had taken the photo secretly, but Lu Yin was looking at him with her head tilted, so her features were quite clear in the photo. Anyone who saw such a beautiful girl would have an unforgettable memory. Lu Yin was so beautiful that it was suffocating. The woman looked at Lu Yan's photo on her cell phone. Wow, your little girlfriend must be a celebrity. She's so beautiful. Cut the crap. Have you seen it or not? I haven't, but I can ask my friends. Are you fucking kidding me? Xiao Fei frowned. No, I told you that I have a lot of connections. If I saw it, I would definitely tell you. So you actually don't know anything? Xiao Fei was a little angry. I didn't tell you what I know. Little brother, don't cause trouble. Pay for big sister's bill obediently, and I'll guarantee your safety. After the woman finished speaking arrogantly, Xiao Fei suddenly laughed. It was a bloodthirsty sneer. So are you threatening me now? Yes, I'm threatening you. So what? After saying that, the woman clapped her hands. Suddenly, 30 to 40 people ran out of nowhere. They surrounded Xiao Fei and his subordinates. Calculate how much money they have spent. This handsome guy is going to pay the bill. The woman smiled wickedly. A waiter beside her quickly calculated with a calculator. The total is 79,800 yuan. What will you do if I say I have no money? Xiao Fei continued to laugh. Chapter 4093. No money? It's very simple. According to the rules of the martial arts world, if you eat and dash, you just have to chop off one of your hands. But seeing how young and handsome you are, I can't bear to do that to you. If you can sleep with me for a night and serve me well, I can consider letting you go. Do you know what you're talking about? Xiao Fei asked her calmly. Kid, let me tell you the truth. Other than the 30 people in the room, we have a group of people outside waiting for you. You won't be able to escape tonight. Either you pay the bill or come home with me. At first, Xiao Fei thought that this woman was just a bartender who was trying to cheat him of some money. Now, it seemed that she was much worse than a bartender. This woman had some power. She was obviously from the local mafia and had many people. All right, since you've said so much, I won't say anything more. Then pay up. You seem to be rich, kid. The woman was right. This was a rich second-generation heir. Usually, these rich people from other places would settle things with money in order to avoid unnecessary trouble. She thought that this young man in front of her was the same. Xiao Fei's men didn't move. They were waiting for their boss's orders. Xiao Fei reached into his pocket. Everyone thought that he was going to take out his wallet. Unexpectedly, Xiao Fei took out his pistol and aimed it at the woman. He shot her in the head. Needless to say, the accuracy was amazing. Most importantly, it was destructive. It blew up the woman's head. Brain matter and blood mixed and sprayed onto the surrounding people. The lackeys, who were his subordinates, were all dumbfounded. Usually, they were just people who used their machetes to intimidate others. They had never seen such a scene before. Before they could react, Xiao Fei shot at them. When his subordinates saw that their boss had opened fire, they didn't hold back. Instantly, the room was in chaos. That night, the city bureau was alerted and more than 100 police officers came. Unfortunately, when they arrived, Xiao Fei and his group were nowhere to be seen. Qin Chu only found out about this when he was watching TV at night. According to this station, there was a bad robbery in a bar on Chuntao Road. The robber failed and shot more than 30 people. His methods were extremely cruel. So far, 20 people have been killed and 12 injured. The Municipal Bureau has officially filed a case. If there are any local witnesses, please come to the Municipal Bureau to provide clues and a large reward for information about the suspect. After Qin Shu read it, he understood that only Xiao Fei and his gang could cause such a big commotion. Honey, where's Yin? Huamin, who was lying on the bed, suddenly spoke. Yanxi, just say it. If there's any bad news, say it all at once. Don't hit me again and again. I can't take it anymore. Lu Yin is missing. Missing? How could it be? Hasn't she always been with you? After that, Qin Shu briefly told Huamin what had happened. Hearing that Lu Yin was missing, Huamin wept again. Qin Chu quietly handed him a tissue. The next morning, Qin Chu took Huamin, Su Yu, and Lady Su with him. They secretly left Yunnan on a special plane sent by the military. On the plane, Huamin asked Qin Chu worriedly, "Honey, our child, I've found someone to bury him. Don't worry. After this, I'll move him back if I have the chance." Huamin nodded with tears in his eyes. "Honey, in the future, let's have another child?" Huamian reached out and placed her cold hand on the back of Qin Chu's hand as she said, "Don't worry." Chapter 4094. Qin Chu didn't say anything. He just reached out and patted Huamin's head. He seemed to be comforting her, but Su Yu and Lady Su felt even worse when they heard this. The four of them returned to Sea City in a low-key manner. Huamin went back to South Hill Manor because of his health condition. The group of people were waiting for him at Su Yu's mansion to celebrate his return. However, they didn't expect this to happen. When Su Yu entered, Tang Chuan didn't know and opened a kaleidoscope with a bang. Su Yu walked past him expressionlessly and sat down on the sofa. "Lord Su, welcome back. We've been waiting for you for a long time. Where are you going tonight?" Tang Chuan was in a good mood as he left Su Yu's shoulder unknowingly. "Let's go back. I want to be alone." Su Yu said listlessly. "What's wrong?" "Lord Su, one who survives a disaster is bound to have good fortune in the future. This isn't like you. Now that you and my sister-in-law are back safely, and Huasiqian is dead, isn't this great news? I heard that bitch Zhao Qingyao also died a horrible death." Tang Chuan didn't know much. Most of it was from Qin Chu and Gao Ran on the phone. Therefore, everyone thought that Su Yu and Huamin were injured in the explosion. Huasiqian was blown away and died with the bad guys. Zhao Qingya and Mr. Y were indeed dead. Mr. Y was instigated by Huamin and was poisoned to death by Zhao Qingya. Zhao Qingya went back on her word and wanted to betray Huamin, but was killed by Huasiqian. On the surface, everyone was happy, but Su Yu licked his lips and looked around. He looked at Tang Chuan, Qin Ning, Wei Liao, Jiang Xiaowei, Shun Mingxi, and Wei Ying. For a moment, he couldn't open his mouth. President Su, did something happen? And had been with Su Yu the longest, so he knew his boss's temper the best. When Shaoan saw that Su Yu had returned, his expression changed. If it was in the past, he would have been the most excited and mingled with everyone as soon as he came back. But this time, he seemed to have a lot on his mind. "Everyone, there's something I have to tell you guys. Lady Su was worried that her son wouldn't be able to take it since he had just recovered a little. She wanted him to go back and rest well, but she didn't expect him to come clean the moment he came back. Mom, it's okay. Let me say it. This matter can't be hidden anyway, and if I don't say it, I won't feel at ease." Tang Chuan froze for a moment before smiling. "What's the matter? Why are you being so secretive?" "Yeah, big brother Su Yu, hurry up and tell us. We're all dying of anxiety," Wei Ying said in a low voice. "Mian was injured in the process of saving me. In the end, we experienced a big explosion. Do you know?" Su Yu said slowly. Everyone nodded. They had heard about the explosion from Gao Ran. Gao Ran was still at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Zhu Lingling heard that he had taken Gao Buin to South Hill Manor to wait for Huamin, so she didn't come here. In that explosion, Mian lost the child in her belly. What? Qin Ning's face was livid as she collapsed in Tang Chuan's arms. Then, everyone was shocked, and was also dumbfounded. It must be noted that Huamin's child was almost full term. It was a little life that could survive even if it was born prematurely. Was it prematurely born? Jiang Xiaowei asked again with uncertainty. It was induced. The child is dead, Su Yu said with great sadness, feeling like every word was piercing his heart. Chapter 4095. Hearing Su Yu's words, the whole room fell silent. It was eerily quiet. Standing behind Su Yu, Lady Su lowered her head and wept. At the mention of Mian's baby, Lady Su and Su Yu's hearts ached. Of course, Suyu felt the worst. He was filled with guilt. Lord Su, don't joke with us. We don't want to hear such a joke. Tang Chuan held Qin Ning in his arms and prayed that it was a prank played by Su Yu and Huamin. I won't joke about such things. Mian got into this accident to save me. In fact, I feel the worst. I feel sorry for her and Qin Chu. So, I haven't adjusted my mentality yet. I'm sorry, my friends. You can go back now. I'm not in the mood to celebrate. I need some time alone. Then, Suyu picked up his coat and went upstairs. His friends looked at each other and didn't know what to say. Andy, is it true? I can't believe it. Wei Liao, a man of few words, glanced at Lady Su. Lady Su covered her mouth and nodded with tears in her eyes. Then, Qin Ning burst into tears. She turned and ran out Ning Ning. Tang Chuan was afraid something would happen to Qin Ning, so he ran out with her. Seeing that things had turned out this way, no one was in the mood to stay any longer. Everyone dispersed. Before Lady Su left, she asked him to keep an eye on Suyu. After Suyu came back, he lay in his room for the whole night without eating, and didn't dare to disturb him. Quietly, he put Suyu's cell phone on the bedside table and closed the door. At 9 p.m., Han Yueyao sent a WeChat message and told her that Suyu was back. Excited, she wanted to come back and find Suyu immediately, but he was rehearsing in another city. Tomorrow was the final match of the finals, and it was extremely important. She had no choice but to secretly send a WeChat message to Suyu after the rehearsal. Hearing the WeChat notification, Suyu picked up his phone. Han Yueyao, President Su, you're back? Suyu just glanced at it indifferently, but he didn't intend to reply to her. Sweating profusely, she waited for a long time but got no reply from Suyu. She was disappointed. At this moment, someone handed him a bottle of water. She didn't even look at it. She took it and said, "Thank you." After she took a sip, she turned her head and found that it was Yuan Bo. It's you. Why? Are you disappointed? No. What are you thinking about? You look quite disappointed. Nothing. Tisk, girl, you're always so mysterious. You're not very likable and don't have many friends. Why did you enter the entertainment industry? Yuan Bo looked at Han Yueyao as if she was a weirdo. To make money and support my family. Pooh, that's why you entered the entertainment industry? Yuan Bo almost spat out the water in his mouth. Yeah, the entertainment industry makes money quickly and a lot. Han Yueyao took another big gulp of water. Okay, you win. Yuan Bo suddenly felt that Han Yueyao was an interesting person. She wasn't pretentious, and most importantly, she didn't spoil you. If she didn't like what you said, she'd retort back. Are you confident in tomorrow's finals? Yuan Bo asked her. No, damn it. If you drag me down, I'll never forgive you, Yuan Bo joked. Han Yueyao smiled shyly. By the way, Yao, tomorrow's finals are very important. Will your boss come and help us? At the mention of Suyu, Han Yueyao's eyes dimmed. Chapter 4096. Hearing his words, Han Yueyao forced a smile. I don't think my boss will come. Such a small competition isn't important to him. Han Yueyao had a feeling that Suyu wouldn't come. Suyu didn't even reply to her WeChat messages after he came back, which showed that she didn't have a place in Suyu's heart. She didn't like to think too highly of herself, so she answered Yuan Bo according to what she thought. No way. Rumors say that Suyu dotes on you. How can he not come? The guy said with jealousy in his voice. You're weird. I think you'll have a better future as a paparazzi, Han Yueyao joked. Without waiting for Yuan Bo's reply, she stood up and walked to the center of the stage to continue rehearsing, not mentioning Suyu again. Yuan Bo, however, could tell that Han Yueyao had a lot on her mind. In South Hill Manor, Qin Chu briefly explained what had happened and told his parents that the baby was missing. Although his parents were heartbroken at the loss of their grandson, they weren't unreasonable people. Qin Chu's father glanced at Huamin with heartache. Mian, you've suffered a lot. You must have a good rest. We owe the Su family a lot. We're glad that Suyu came back safely. We won't blame you for what you did. Thank you, Dad. Huamin nodded. Yeah, your dad's right. The Qin family isn't that ungrateful. Suyu was kidnapped, and we couldn't just leave him be. It's okay if the baby is gone. You two are still young, and you can have another baby in the future. Mian, take good care of yourself. Chin Chu's mother comforted her. Mom, thank you and Dad for your understanding. Chu, and I will try our best to give you a grandson. Huamin said this to comfort his parents, so Chin Chu didn't think much of it. After chatting with his parents for a while, Huamin went upstairs, followed by Zhu Lingling, Gao Lin, and the twins. When the two children saw that their mommy had returned, they were very close and immediately pounced on her. Mommy, little brother is gone, right? Little Bean looked at her mother's flat stomach and felt a little sad. Mommy will give birth to more for you in the future, okay? Huamin patted Little Bean's head. But I also like this younger brother very much. Although my sister and I always call him Chin Guagua, we really don't want him to take the blame for us. We will love him very much. Little Bean seemed to like her younger brother, whom she had never met. Okay, Little Bean, Mommy is sad too. Don't talk about it. Pudding was more sensible and didn't want her sister to talk about it. After spending some time with the kids, Chin Chu asked Pudding and Little Bean to take Gao Buiyuan to the room next door. Then Chin Chu went to the kitchen and asked the kitchen to make some ginseng soup for Huamin to nourish his body. Only Zhu Lingling and Huamin were left in the bedroom. Are you trying to scare me to death? Being your bestie is like riding a roller coaster. With red eyes, Zhu Lingling reached out to hold Hua Min's hand tightly. Huh, Mian, your hand is so cold. Zhu Lingling was a little surprised when she touched such cold hands. Huamin pulled back his hand without a trace and smiled subtly. Maybe it's because of the labor. I've been like this for days. You've suffered a lot. Okay, don't cry. It's so exciting to be my bestie. Mian, there's no one else here. Let me ask you a secret question. Did you do Chun Yuning's disappearance? Zhu Lingling found it strange when she learned about Chun Yuning's disappearance. But after Huamin's disappearance, she didn't have time to ask. Zhu Lingling only dared to ask because they were alone in the room, and even Chin Chu wasn't there. Chapter 4097. At the mention of Chun Yuning, Huamin froze for a second. Then, his brain quickly searched through this memory, and he finally understood what was going on. Chun Yuning, that shameless vixen. Have you forgotten her? Zhu Lingling was puzzled. Huamin had a good memory and wouldn't forget such a short time ago. However, the confusion in Chun Yuning's eyes when she mentioned her name just now was really strange. That woman. I've taken care of her. Is she dead? No. Don't worry. I'm not a heartless person. Anyway, she'll get the punishment she deserves. Thank you for everything you've done for me. You're so kind that you've never hurt anyone, but you did such a thing for me. I know it's hard for you. Touched, Zhu Lingling couldn't help but take Huamin's hand. She wanted to give him a hug. However, Huamin avoided Zhu Lingling's hug and laid down on the bed. Lingling, I'm sorry. I'm tired. Let me rest. I'll come to you when I'm better, okay? Huamin asked her to leave politely. Zhu Lingling didn't find it strange. After all, it was a critical time. Okay, have a good rest. I'll go now. Will you in, and I will come to see you when you're better. Okay. After Zhu Lingling left, Huamin took out a tissue and wiped his hands in disgust. At this moment, Chin Chu pushed the door open and walked in. Chin Chu glanced at Huamin, who was wiping his hands. I touched some dust by accident. How long has it been since someone cleaned our room? Huamin seemed to explain why Chin Chu wiped his hands. No way. Someone cleans it every day. Chin Chu looked at him calmly. Really? Maybe these servants saw that the master wasn't at home, so they didn't put in the effort. There's dust everywhere. I think it's better to do a thorough cleaning another day. After all, I'm a clean freak. All right, I'll listen to you. Chin Chu did not say anything else. At night, Huamin changed into his pajamas and lay on the bed. Hubby, hug me. Huamin began to act coquettishly as she extended her arms for Chin Chu to hug. Mian, go to bed first. I still have a lot of work to do, so I'll sleep later. Can't you accompany me first? Is the company's business so important? Of course not. Don't overthink it. I just want you to rest more. Okay. Then you can go. I'll sleep by myself. The couple quarreled unhappily. Chinshu didn't know why, but he was upset. He closed the door and walked out. He saw that little bean was lying on the bed, playing with her phone. Pudding walked out of her room and bumped into her father. "Daddy, what's wrong? Is it because Mommy lost her little brother? She's a bit strange." "What's strange about her?" Chinshu squatted down and spoke in a low voice, as if he was afraid others would hear. "I don't know. I think her expression and eyes are a bit unnatural. Especially when she saw Annie Lingling. She didn't seem as close as before. I think this incident may have been a big blow to her." "Do you want to spend more time with her?" Pudding had Chinshu's aloofness and arrogance, but she also had Huamin's sensitivity. Therefore, she could sense that something was wrong. "Okay, don't worry. Daddy will take care of everything. Can we go see handsome Sue tomorrow?" Pudding asked. "Of course. He'll be very happy." Chinshu gently kissed his daughter's eyelashes, full of love. That night, Chinshu worked in the study until 2 a.m. Then, in order not to disturb Huamin, he slept in the study. The next morning, and knocked on Su Yu's door, but found no one in the room. "President Su?" and was scared out of his wits and hurriedly shouted. Chapter 4098. "What are you yelling for?" "I'm here." Su Yu walked out of the bathroom with only a towel wrapped around his waist. The scene was quite erotic. "Wow, boss, you're back to full health." "I'm back to life, but I'm not at full health. I'm so hungry. What are we eating for breakfast?" Su Yu wiped his hair with a white towel from a luxury brand and looked at it. "I haven't bought anything yet." "So, you haven't been home recently. Are you going to turn to a mouse? And why aren't you going to buy it?" "I don't think there's enough time. Why don't we go to the company for the morning meeting first?" "Ha! When you come out after the meeting, I promise I'll send a hot breakfast to your office." "Fuck! I haven't been back for a few days, and I'm about to be controlled by your threats." Su Yu was both angry and amused. "President Su, please calm down. I didn't mean that. I'm doing this for your own good. There's a shareholders meeting this morning. You haven't been here for many days, and some unreliable rumors have started to spread in the company." Su Yu raised his eyebrows and sat on the bed. "For example?" "For example, someone said that you absconded with the money. Fuck, this is my money. Why would I run?" Su Yu was speechless. "Also, someone said that you cheated on President Hua and eloped with President Hua because you were afraid that President Qin would hunt you down and said, ahem, this rumor is really full of imagination. Anyway, people are really worried when you're not here. So, President Su, you should go to the morning meeting. I can hold my head up high." "Okay, then pack up and go to the company now. Remember to buy me breakfast." Okay. How about jianbing with soy milk?" "Okay, add 2 eggs." After discussing breakfast, Su Yu changed into a new set of clothes quickly. It was especially cold in the north in winter, and it would snow without warning. Su Yu was wearing a Burberry cashmere coat. It was light blue and looked very nice. Perhaps because he was afraid of the cold, he wore a scarf, which was rare. Her outfit made people's eyes light up, and drove Su Yu's black Bentley, and Su Yu sat in the passenger seat. She hadn't been to the company for a few days. On her first day of work, it was Imperial Star that blew up. Many girls were smitten when they saw the president return. Along the way, there were girls constantly greeting Su Yu. Shaoan, who followed behind Su Yu, felt very majestic. "Good morning, President Su." "Good morning, President Su." "President Su, you're so handsome today." "Good morning, Boss Su." When everyone saw Su Yu, it was as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The previous rumors of Su Yu running away were also dispelled. Su Yu took off his jacket and entered the meeting room. There was an unprepared morning meeting. By the time he finished his work and came out, and had already bought breakfast and placed it on his desk. She looked at the neat desk and the traffic outside the glass window. Su Yu actually felt like he was alive. Thinking back to how he was tortured half to death by Zhao Jingya and the others that day, Su Yu thought that he was going to die there. Unexpectedly, in the end, it was that bastard Hua Xiqian who saved him and Huamian. That was why life was such a wonderful thing. After Suyu took a simple bite of breakfast, he entered a state of mind. On WeChat, there were red packets from everyone. Perhaps it was to celebrate Suyu's safe return. Tang Chuan sent a lot of red packets in his private group. He even specifically asked Suyu if he wanted to drink with him tonight. Suyu held his phone and didn't wait for a reply, and said, "President Su, today is the finals of Dancing Allure. Do you want to go and watch it live?" Chapter 4099. Hearing the words Dancing Allure, Suyu realized he hadn't seen Han Yueyao for a long time. He had received several WeChat messages from Han Yueyao, but he had just come back yesterday and was in a bad mood, so he didn't reply to any of them. Shaoan's question stirred up many memories in him. Did she go to the scene? Her manager and assistant were there, and a few higher-ups from our company were there as well. Miss Han has gained a lot of fans ever since she started dancing in Allure. The paparazzi wanted to dig up some dirt on Miss Han when she was in school, but they found that there was nothing to dig up. They couldn't tell that Miss Han was really a good girl in the past, and it seemed like she hadn't even been in a relationship before. This made many fans have a good impression of her, and even the fans who previously dissed her have become her fans. Her Weibo followers have already reached 5 million, and she's the dark horse of our company this year. Now, there are a lot of companies that want to book commercials, movies, and TV series. I praise Han Yueyao a lot. It was obvious that he liked this girl. He kept praising her in front of the boss, which seemed to add to her popularity. You seem to have a good impression of Han Yueyao. Of course. Miss Han is a woman of character. Who doesn't like her? And grinned. Do you want to pursue her? Pooh. No. I only have Queen Yin in my heart. And joked, but Suyu suddenly thought of something. Shaoan, there's something I have to tell you. What is it? And didn't seem to realize something bad was about to happen. Lu Yin went with Qin Chu to rescue me and Mian, right? Yeah. She came in the middle of the night. She was very cool. She jumped off the helicopter and had a short chat with President Qin before leaving, and couldn't get the scenes of Lu Yin out of his mind. But after this incident, I heard from Qin Chu that Lu Yin seems to what? And looked at Su Yu in puzzlement. Lu Yin seems to have disappeared. Disappeared? How is that possible? Boss, do you know how powerful Lu Yin is? I know Lu Yan's identity, but she seems to have gone missing. Her boyfriend went to the hospital to see Qin Chu. I heard there was a pool of blood at the place where she went missing. It was confirmed to be hers. How is that possible? Lu Yin is the god of war and can't be killed. Few people in the world can defeat her unless they are aliens. And knew Lu Yin very well and knew very few people could defeat her. He couldn't believe that Lu Yin had bad news. Don't worry, I'm just telling you. Maybe Lu Yin was injured and went into hiding to heal herself. I think so too. Get the car ready. What? President Su, are you going out? Aren't we going to dance toppling cities? You agree, and was excited and happy for her. I promised Han Yueyao and don't want to break my promise. Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo were about to go on the stage and were nervous. Before going on the stage, Han Yueyao looked back as if she was waiting for someone. Yao, don't be nervous. Just dance as you've rehearsed. Don't be afraid. The assistant comforted her. Okay, I'm fine. At this moment, her agent walked over excitedly with her cell phone. President Su will be here in 3 minutes. Yao, do your best. Is President Su coming? Han Yueyao couldn't suppress her excitement. Chapter 4100. Her agent nodded repeatedly. Yes, I'm coming. Unable to suppress the joy in her heart, Han Yueyao smiled shyly. Yuan Bo glanced at her and rolled his eyes at her. Han Yueyao, treat me to dinner if you win. After all, I've worked hard. Okay, I'll treat you to spicy hot pot. In a good mood, Han Yueyao teased Yuan Bo knowing that Suyu was here. Han Yueyao was in high spirits the whole time. However, when the results of the competition were announced, they weren't the winners. Instead, it was another pair. The other pair was also a man who wasn't very famous, but the woman was somewhat famous. However, The other couple didn't perform as well as Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo. However, the judges voted for the other couple. It was obvious that there was something fishy going on. The netizens who were watching the live stream began to curse on the bullet screen. Damn it, are the judges blind? Han Yueyao's team danced so well, but they didn't win the competition. I'm not convinced. It's obvious that there's something fishy going on. Did Lord Su of Imperial Star not inform them this time? Poor Yuan Bo. He worked hard for so long, but didn't win the competition. The disgusting program is so disgusting. My Bo will never participate in such a stupid competition again. I'm not exaggerating. Han Yueyao is indeed a professional. She danced well and didn't show off her stage presence. I like her. Yeah, I'm now a fan of Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo. I hope they could be a good match. I support the full moon couple. Boycott the unscrupulous program. In the end, Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo won the first place with the second place. When they went up on the stage to receive their prizes, the host interviewed them. Yuan Bo didn't seem satisfied with the result, either. He said something perfunctorily. Holding the microphone, Han Yueyao was excited. Finally, I want to thank our company and our boss, President Su. Thank you for giving me a chance to show myself. I didn't win a championship, but I don't know if you'll be disappointed in me because you know I tried my best, and I know you didn't break your promise. Thank you for coming to the competition. Then she bowed deeply to the audience. The camera cut to Su Yu's face. Su Yu's face was very calm. He didn't really care about the outcome of such a small competition. She just wanted to use this opportunity to make Han Yueyao debut. Therefore, Su Yu only smiled and nodded in response to his gratitude. The media did not let go of the opportunity to take photos. After the competition, Yuan Bo and Han Yueyao walked out. I didn't help you in the championship. It seems you can't eat spicy hot pot. Who said so? Even if I lost, I'll still treat you. I won't go back on my word. Han Yueyao smiled. Really? It's a deal. Okay, come to me when you want to eat. I'll make sure you're full. Yuan Bo put on his glasses and mask and left with his agent in the minivan. When Han Yueyao walked out, she saw Su Yu's car parked at the gate and was driving while he sat in the passenger seat. President Su, seeing Su Yu safe and sound again, Han Yueyao felt relieved. Let's go. Get in the car. Su Yu tilted his head and gestured for her to get in. Chapter 4101. President Su, I lost. I didn't win the championship. Han Yueyao looked embarrassed. Let's talk in the car. Su Yu's face was calm, and no one could tell whether he was happy or sad. With her heart pounding, Han Yueyao got into Su Yu's car uneasily and returned to Sea City. Meanwhile, Han Yueyao's assistant and agent took the company's car and went back in two separate ways. Miss Han, you danced very well today. The moment she got into the car and sat in the driver's seat and comforted her, afraid that she would deny her performance today. Thank you, and I think I danced well too. I try my best. Those directors have no taste. Han Yueyao smiled. She didn't seem unhappy that she didn't win the championship because of the dirty tricks. Instead, her heart turned pink when she saw Su Yu. After Han Yueyao sat down, Su Yu handed her a bottle of water. Han Yueyao took the water shyly. President Su, it's good to see you come back safely. Hearing this, Su Yu glanced at him. Don't blame him for being nosy. I asked him to tell me. Otherwise, I'd feel uneasy, Han Yueyao explained, afraid that Su Yu would blame him, and interrupted. President Su, Miss Han is just worried about you. Everyone really cares about you. You talk too much. Su Yu wasn't angry. He just joked with him. On the way, Su Yu and Han Yueyao chatted about unimportant things. They talked about the company and the fun things in life. They even talked about Su Xiaoxiao. Su Yu didn't seem to care about Su Xiaoxiao's love life. She's still young. When she retires from the army, she might find a good husband. Su Yu smiled. In fact, Lin Heng is a good person. He doesn't like Xiaoxiao and made it clear that he didn't take Xiaoxiao's identity in money. He's a good person. Having a good character is useless. Xiaoxiao's father will never agree to let her marry a mechanic. Su Yu said calmly. Seeing Han Yueyao's embarrassment, Su Yu explained, "Don't overthink it. I'm not looking down on him. I'm just saying that Xiao Xiao's father also wants his daughter to be happy. Obviously, that Ling guy is so weird that he can't give Xiao Xiao happiness." "I know, President Su. You don't have to explain. It's okay." "Whoa, Han Yueyao, you've toned down a lot recently. Why didn't you talk back to me?" Su Yu wasn't used to her sudden change. After all, he was used to the bratty girl who dissed him. "Wasn't I ignorant in the past? President Su, you gave me such a good opportunity, and you didn't sleep with me, so I'm grateful." Hearing her words, and laughed out loud. Han Yueyao was usually fierce, but when she joked, she was like a funny little girl. Su Yu smiled as well. "What? You sound like you're not satisfied that I didn't sleep with you." "Yeah, why don't you sleep with me?" Han Yueyao's joke was half true, but Su Yu was a bit embarrassed and changed the topic. "Don't talk nonsense. Tell me what you want to eat. It's my treat. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You must think carefully. Otherwise, you won't get another chance like this. Of course I won't refuse your treat. I heard that Si Shanhuang's seafood is very famous. What did Uncle Ben Shan say about the skid in Shenyang? For Australian abalones and 1 pound of lobster." Han Yueyao continued to tease him. "Miss Han, you like seafood too? You have the same hobby as President Hua." And his words made the atmosphere in the car awkward. Chapter 4102. Hearing this, Su Yu's expression turned unnatural. He coughed softly and ignored Shaoan. He continued, "Fine, you can eat Hai Shanghuang tonight, even if you miss it. Boss, you're so generous. No wonder you're a godly tycoon. But I'm sorry I didn't win the championship." Han Yueyao was sincere. She felt Su Yu had put in so much effort to get rid of the public's opinion and keep the scandal between them a secret for so long. He had sent her all the way to the dance competition, but in the end, she didn't get the result she was proud of. "I'll tell you about it after dinner. Don't blame yourself." They chatted for a while longer before the car slowly stopped at the entrance of Hai Shanghuang. Han Yueyao had thought Su Yu would treat her to dinner alone with him. However, they didn't expect that when they arrived, the private room was already filled with more than 20 people. Han Yueyao's agent and assistant were also there. "Everyone's here." Han Yueyao was a bit embarrassed. It seemed she had thought too much. Su Yu wanted to treat all the staff members who had worked hard for Han Yueyao this time. Su Yu walked in and took off his coat, and took it and hung it on the hanger behind him. Su Yu sat down, took the menu from the waiter, and glanced at it. Then he threw it aside. "Tonight, each of you will order 1 dish. It's best if it's something you like." "Wow, the boss is so generous." A staff member clapped her hands excitedly. "I've always been generous. I'm going to the washroom. You guys order first." Then Su Yu went out. Han Yueyao wanted to sit beside her agent, but the waitress scolded her in a low voice. "Yueyao, are you stupid? It's such a good opportunity. Why don't you sit beside me? You should sit beside President Su." Before Han Yueyao could reply, and pulled a chair close to Su Yu and looked at Han Yueyao. "Miss Han, sit here." "Yeah, Yao Yao, you should be next to the boss. You're the biggest contributor today. Although you're second, we've done our best." Biting her lips, Han Yueyao stood up and sat down beside Su Yu shyly. They all knew that their boss was single and knew Han Yueyao's true personality. Seeing this, they all wanted to play matchmaker. Even in the boss's bodyguard for many years had the same thought. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell at once. After Su Yu went to the bathroom, he actually wanted to make a phone call. Even though his emotions were normal, there was one thing that was on his mind. He took out his phone and hesitated for 5 seconds before calling Qin Shu. "Su Yu, Qin Shu, how's Mian?" "It's all right. Then you have to spend more time with her. I asked someone to buy some Changbai mountain ginseng. When the wild ginseng arrives in a few days, I'll send it to you." "Okay." Qin Shu didn't refuse. In fact, after this incident, his relationship with Su Yu didn't become estranged because of the loss of the baby. Instead, they got along more calmly than before. "Qin Shu, about the baby, if the baby is gone, we can have another one. We only have one benefactor and friend like you. Chin Chu cut off Su Yu's words. To be honest, Chin Chu was a cold person and would never speak softly to anyone except Wamin. But today he said such touching words on the phone. Su Yu was touched. Let's not talk about it. After this incident settles down, I'll treat you to a drink one day and talk to you. Okay. After hanging up, Su Yu still felt heavy-hearted. He didn't dare to see Huamin now. He really didn't dare. After returning to the private room, they had ordered. Su Yu sat down beside Han Yueyao. Boss, we heard you went on a mysterious mission a few days ago. Where did you go? We missed you so much. A staff member who didn't know the situation wanted to get closer to Su Yu, so he asked about what happened a few days ago. Su Yu's expression turned unnatural. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.